right, welcome to Previously Recorded. I am your host, RP, as always. And this episode of Previously Recorded was brought to you by Totally Tees. If you need a shirt and you don't have one,
call Totally Tees, they'll get it done.
Hey, there you go. Perfect for every occasion. Christmas is over. We know you got that extra money. Come and buy some T-shirts for your honey. Let's go. All right.
Can we come up with one for a stimmy?
Yeah, I got the stimulus check, too.
We know that stimulus is in your pocket. So buy a T-shirt and blow your brains out. All right, Totally Tees has got it for you.
That's the Totally Tees motto.
That's the big motto. We've got it on a shirt.
If you want that on a shirt, call Jack at Totally Tees.
He's there for you. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know that for some listeners out there, you had a very special, happy Christmas day by listening to a podcast that we recorded day of. It was a live podcast. It was crazy.
Yeah. We were actually recording while you were listening.
Yeah, while Santa was dropping.
No matter what time you listened.
No matter what time you listened.
That's also when
it was a Christmas miracle.
Even if you listened to it the next day, we were still recording.
It doesn't matter when you listened. We were recording.
As long
as you listen to it tomorrow, we were recording at the same time.
As long as there was no chocolate involved, you were good. But if you spent your holiday with us, we thank you and hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And Santa brought you everything that you wanted this year.
If you didn't spend your holiday with us, fuck you.
Belgium.
To this one.
I will say the Belgium listener, staying golden, man. It's one person in Belgium, constant. If you're listening to this, reach
Belgium
out to
listener,
us.
We know you listen. Please reach out.
Here's the problem.
We want to send you gifts.
This guy only listens to the first 6 minutes because he loves the Totally Tees jingle. So we gotta talk to him prior to that. That's what we have.
So here we go. Here we're at. If Belgium listener from Germany, reach out. Previouslyr@gmail.com. Heading, just put your city. We'll get you on the podcast, man. We just want to talk to you. We have talked to all of our other top fans. You're the one that's still out there.
You can pick the topic.
I hope they have good Belgium chocolate. We can talk about that.
We can talk about waffles.
We can talk about waffles. Strudel, Hansel and Gretel. The list goes on.
Big Belgian waffles guy.
But before we do that, we need to welcome in our fourth chair.
Our third chair,
Marvel.
And our fourth chair, Shane, is here.
We're just fucking up big time. Third chair, Marvel. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, I'm done saying welcome back because you're just welcome every week. When we pay the SoundCloud fee, we'll Venmo you, so you're included in that too.
Yeah, when we get some new microphones, make sure he pays up.
Yeah. You got to pay up for our 3 microphones. What's going on, man? Did you have a nice holiday?
Yeah, it was great. It was just one of those quiet holidays. I mean, it's just a weird year, so it was just a very, I don't know. Everyone's in the same boat. It was just kind of stayed in and spent time with my wife and kid, and that was kind of it.
My wife. Well, I know what you probably did to occupy your time on Christmas Day, but we'll get to that later. But before that, what's going on, guys? Anything new that we want to talk about? Is there anything new? Any news, Marvel, that you may want to share? With
Cryborg.
Cryborg is back, baby.
Hold on. The legal investigation continues.
Let me find the text I sent you guys.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
So for those that have been listening to every single podcast in the month of December from us, there's probably been a Cryborg update about.
It's literally been every episode. I think every episode we talk about.
Well, because we're leading up.
This idiot.
It's called bringing attention and bringing in and hyping something up because we're going to have live Snyder Cut.
Yeah,
podcast. So we have to get all the intrigue around.
Who would? I mean, we're edging. We're edging.
We are edging into Snyder Cut.
Into the Snyder Cut.
Which doesn't have anything to do with your asshole.
But it doesn't. It doesn't. But
Marvel doesn't understand what's going on.
No, he doesn't.
I do. I know what edging is.
Yeah, I know you know what edging is. Everybody knows what edging is, except apparently Audra.
So for those who don't know, edging is when you kind of.
Let's explain what edging is.
Just Google it.
Let them look it up.
But yesterday we were edging. We painted the podcast studio, and we were edging
the new studio,
the new one.
The old tenant was a real pain in the ass.
The one in Alaska. And we were edging, and I said something about edging, and Audrey was like said something in terms of eating ass, and I was like, that's not what edging means. So,
silly rabbit.
yeah. But anyway, we're going to edge into the Snyder Cut. We will send out a live Zoom feed for the Snyder Cut, which is going to be either great or terrible. I don't really know. For our 60 listeners out there, they might enjoy it. They might enjoy it because we certainly won't. But anyway, Marvel, fill us in on the latest breaking news from the Snyder Cut.
So the latest Ray Fisher news is that he said he will not work with DC Films president Walter Hamada again. He says he's an enabler because of, I guess, what was going on in the Justice League set. No one knows because still, even after the investigation, there's no real news or anything has come out from it besides him tweeting the clap emoji say it was a success. But
all right, so then I started to, so Marvel sends us that information, so I started to do some research because I really hadn't been following it. I was just like, this, like, Ray Fisher seems like kind of like a dick, to be honest. And we had talked about that. I think we talked about that on literally the last podcast about how it just seemed like he didn't understand what
how
it was like to be on a movie set.
Yeah.
So then I find a thing, and this is the quote from the article that I was reading. I don't remember which article it was exactly, but it's talking about the interactions between Ray Fisher and Whedon. This is in their July conversation, meaning, and this is the conversation between Fisher and the guy who's in charge of, what are they, Warner Brothers?
DC or Warner Brothers?
Who's the guy he won't work with? He's the
head
DC
of
Studios.
DC.
He's the head of DC's? All right.
Film president.
Okay, so this is the conversation that Fisher had with the film president, not with Whedon. In their July conversation, Mr. Fisher recounted disagreements he'd had with the film's creative team regarding his portrayal of Cyborg and complained that his suggested script revisions were not adopted. So basically, he's bitching because he didn't like how the movie looked, and they didn't immediately cut everything that they were going to do and say, you know what, Ray Fisher, you're in charge.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing we talk about every time is that nobody else has come out and spoke out. Because we did say Gal
Gadot said that she had a bad situation, or she had like I don't know if bad situation is the phrasing, but like she got rubbed the wrong way, and she said it, but I addressed it up front, and it was not an issue after that.
Like an adult.
Yeah.
She talked to him, said, hey, and then they...
I don't like how you're handling this, and then end of story.
So who was rubbing her?
No, we're talking about edging. I was rubbing myself.
You were rubbing yourself thinking about Gal Gadot.
Throughout from Batman versus Superman on through until Wonder Woman takes her clothes off. Still waiting. And if she doesn't, then I will no longer be working with this head of film either. I'm drawing the line. I will strictly be working for Disney, which is owned by Previously Recorded.
The closest you're going to come to that is that Fast and Furious movie where she's in like a bikini.
I know, but she wasn't as Gal Gadot as she is now in that movie.
She's a lot skinnier.
So right. another part of this Ray Fisher thing is, though, I think his anger toward this guy is because Hamada tweeted out in a New York Times interview that the Snyder Cut is basically a waste of time. He said it was, the quote is, a storytelling cul-de-sac with no link to DC's upcoming projects, and that Snyder is not involved in the studio's future. So here, this is one and done. Like, this isn't anything he does in this movie isn't going forward.
But it's funny because then I started to look into Zack Snyder because I was like, what the fuck? Because he just came out about all the articles were like his stance on Marvel and DC and all this stuff. So I look, and he wasn't like saying one's better than the other, which I can respect at least that much. But his mentality and the way that he kind of like explained why DC movies haven't really lived up to what Marvel has done is that he said DC already had like standing versions of things that they had to deal. He's like, well, if we had just thrown the Flash in, they would have been like, well, this isn't our Flash, or this isn't our Batman, because the Nolan versions existed, which I call bullshit on.
Yeah,
because you're already creating a universe. You still brought in a new Batman. At no point is that Batman being affiliated with the Nolan Batman, and it still wasn't a good Batman, even though I did like Batfleck. I just didn't like the movies he was in.
And there were already 3 versions of Batman before that.
Yeah, so
And,
like his argument,
the Batman Begins was still successful.
like his argument was like when I was making Man of Steel and Justice League and Batman vs Superman, there were also animated versions of things, and those characters aren't interrelated. So like what we needed to do was to build up each character individually. He basically said that they need to do what Marvel did without saying that Marvel did it.
See, that doesn't make sense because there's animated versions of everything Marvel.
I know.
It's just not as good as the DC animated stuff.
DC just has a weird. They're just not fun movies. They're just dark and like grim, and I don't want. They're just not fun. Like I don't want to sit down and watch that sometimes.
Exactly. Even with the first Wonder Woman that I love, I don't remember really sitting down and rewatching a movie where I watch these Marvel movies multiple times. It's just they're not fun. Like they're and I do like Man of Steel. So it's not. I don't hate Zack Snyder. I like Man of Steel. I know a lot of people don't, but I personally do. And for a while, I did like Green Lantern, and that was my exposure to Green Lantern and why he's one of my favorite superheroes. Stemmed from that film. And I know that movie's not good. I know it's not a good movie, but I personally enjoy it for the things that it does right, which opening up for the rest of the episode, that there are still good things in bad films, which everybody knows. But you're right, they're not fun. And then I just don't know. I just feel like it's the constant apology for DC not being Marvel, but they are. But the people always like, we're better than Marvel, but we're not as good. Like, we're not there. Like, that's just my thing with
Before you even get into that, like, they don't have to be fun for me to enjoy them, though. Yeah, that's Marvel's shtick, right? They can balance the funny and the serious. I will watch every Christopher Nolan Batman movie repeatedly. I don't know that I laugh at any of those films ever.
You're right.
There's a couple lines here and there. Alfred has a couple like little jabs that are kind of funny.
Yeah,
you're right, because I am very much a dark and gritty like I like dark and gritty things. I'm like,
they don't have to be fun. They should have fun elements, and I think that Wonder Woman, the original, like the first Wonder Woman, probably does that better than anything else because Chris Pine is good at doing that like comedic relief type stuff where it might just be a line here or there, but it's something where it's like, all right, that's kind of like you chuckle or you're like, and it like lightens everything a little bit.
Which is why I do like Marvel movies, because there's a 100% there is a formula, but each film does feel different. Like Captain America Winter Soldier is very much a gritty film to me, like not as dark, but it's a gritty film. It's a more serious film. But, like, that is why Batman vs. Superman is what it is, but that's why I like the Batman aspect of Batman vs. Superman, because Snyder gets, to a degree, gets Batman. He doesn't get Bruce. He gets Batman. And except for the killing stuff.
I was going to say, no, he doesn't, because he had him kill somebody, like, immediately.
And he was like, oh, whatever, fuck that. Like, that's why I said to a degree. But his, like, the action and the tone of Batman, I thought, and that's all. And Warner Brothers should have just let him make The Dark Knight Returns, because that's all he wanted to do. And I feel like we would be on a completely different level with DC.
It's a standalone. Here's your mirror.
That's exactly how he sets it up to be, and then it's just not.
That's what he said. That's what he wanted to do, and DC was like, no. So he did Batman vs. Superman and brought him in that way. And we could have just been looking at a completely different universe. Like Justice League, to me, Justice League's an enjoyable film for me personally. The Whedon cut. I like the Whedon cut, and I think Whedon's the reason why I like that movie, because he cut out all the bullshit.
So I think a lot of people that don't like Justice League don't like Aquaman. And I hate Aquaman the film. I did not like that film at all. I thought it tried to do too much. But I do enjoy that. That's the thing that frustrates me the most with DC. Their casting is well done. I liked Momoa as Aquaman. I love Gal Gadot. I didn't hate Ben Affleck as Batman. The problem is, I think everybody. I don't think I ever was like against it. It's just that Ben Affleck was too well established that he was gonna have his haters from Jump Street. Like he was never gonna win that battle.
But like also,
but then they don't put them in good positions. Like I liked Jason Momoa. I liked Aquaman in Justice League. I liked those like comedic parts. I thought that stuff was funny.
Momoa does a really good job. He does a really good job.
But that for a lot of people that I know that don't like Justice League, they're like, oh, I hate this yuck stuff. But then you go and watch a Marvel movie, and you're like, oh, this movie's great. It's such a great like mix of comedic and other stuff. And there's people that we know that I won't name on the podcast specifically who I'm thinking of, who are like, oh, I hate I hated his little like his jokes, his little jabs, and I'm like,
Oh,
but like you love that shit with Ant-Man, or you like he doesn't like Ant-Man, but you love that shit when it's happening and Thanos is on the screen.
I think
It's just a matter of like it's how it's timed and how it's done, and it's DC is so gritty that shit doesn't seem like it fits at all.
Like the entirety of Thor Ragnarok is just little jokes.
It's a comedy
thrown here or there.
But it's a comedy with really good action and a really good good story.
I think Thor Ragnarok is up there with one of the best.
Pause for this. So for those that don't know, we're celebrating Bob's birthday.
Bob's birthday.
And so
we're gonna talk about it.
We got him some nonsense, and one of the things that I got him was a Four Loko sour apple that he has to drink while we record.
So I'm just now cracking it. How deep into the recording are we? Do we know?
Probably like 10 minutes.
All right. So we
some people.
And this
you got him such a bid. Like you could have got him like the gold Loko for $1.
I do like apple stuff. I don't know the last time I had.
I don't know if I want to drink 25 ounces of sour.
Oh, never mind. Do I have to drink the whole can or just the serving size? Because the serving size is apparently only 5 fluid ounces. So
the whole can.
So yeah, it's the serving per container is 4.
By the end of the episode, Wonder Woman 1984 will be Bob's favorite movie.
It'll be my favorite movie, and I'll be marrying Gal Gadot by the time I turn.
All right, so jumping
my next
back,
birthday happens, which was already my New Year's resolution anyway.
Yeah, true. Jumping
Mine's
back,
to marry Chris Pine.
Kind of off of what Bob said, that there are people that that's the same way that they hate DC but love Marvel, and then there's the DC fanboys and we see extremes on both sides.
Who won't tweet me.
Who won't tweet him. He's been begging for
scared.
He's been begging for it harder than he's been begging for Demi Lovato. And
nah, she's
done.
Yeah.
But you're right. People will sit there and say, "Oh, fuck this when DC does it, but then Marvel does it. It's fine," and vice versa. Which both sides of the coin are horrible because everybody reacts so extreme, and it's like that's why like there's people that are like Infinity War and Endgame are terrible movies. You don't have to like superhero movies, but you cannot sit there and say that either one of those is a terrible, terrible movie because that's just bullshit because they're not. They're really good films, and we're not just as fans of the movies. Critics agree too, which half the time you can say fuck critics because I don't care what critics
I go
think.
off of the fans on
yeah, but when critics and fans agree, because critics can say a movie's terrible.
I forgot. I haven't had a Four Loko since I think there was still cocaine in it or whatever they did.
Yeah.
It just tastes like straight alcohol.
It's
like rubbing alcohol that they dropped a couple Jolly Ranchers in.
So we're in for a good podcast.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm going to drink it.
But anyway, that's just more of the same that we talk about all the time on here. We like DC. I'm excited for the Batman. Of all the movies that are announced for 2021.
If it ever films.
The Eternals.
Is that coming out in 2021?
It's supposed to, yeah. It's
Never
supposed
finishes.
to, yes. The Eternals is my top, but right under that is the Batman. I'm so excited for the Batman.
Dude, like, as much as I love shitting on DC because the live-action movies just suck, I want them to be good so bad.
I like DC characters more.
Everything animated that DC puts out is incredible.
Especially
they just can't get it right live action.
Story, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's.
Yeah, we talk about it every time.
Still great porn.
We don't want these movies to fail. Like we're fans.
Exactly.
Like
we're fans.
I want them to be good so bad.
And that's why I get
disappointment.
I get so frustrated with people who are like, "This movie's incredible." So like, we're gonna talk about Wonder Woman 84. Obviously, I'm not gonna start
I was
yet.
Gonna be a segue there.
It's
gonna be my segue.
I'll let you do your segue because you need to have a bad one, or else it's not a previously recorded podcast. But like,
if he's not doing bad segue,
before I'd even watched the movie on Twitter, I see like, and obviously like Pedro Pascal, like these people have to continue to hype up the movie that they're in. But they're like, people are like tweeting like this scene and this scene, and 100% there are scenes in the film where there's messages from the film that I completely agree with. And there's things that I liked about the film, but as a whole, it's just like you could do better. I think, and that's where that's why we get frustrated. We don't dislike DC. If anything, I like DC more than Marvel as far as characters, as far as like
comic books.
Yeah, exactly. Like what the collection they have to pull from.
Well, they have Batman, which is the best. Whether if you don't, everybody loves Batman, but from a comic standpoint, Batman has the best stories.
Yeah, dude, look at all of the Justice League. I love reading Justice League comics.
Shane, keep your clothes on. I understand. I understand that you love.
They just
Justice
can't.
League.
They can't make a good movie with the Justice League.
And
I don't understand.
So it's just a matter of being disappointed because it's like, all right, here's another. And I think
I'll go on record and say I like Justice League. It's not a fun movie.
I think
like
it's too
it's
long.
not fun. It's
Same-
under 2 hours.
I don't think
It's still too
I don't
long.
dislike it. I don't think it's done well enough. I think that
I
with
think
what they
Whedon
have,
saved it.
it could like that's my
Well,
problem.
Bob-
They could always be better.
Bob, here's the thing. All of these concerns are going to go away when the Snyder Cut comes out.
That's the thing.
We're
So
going to get
now,
the Justice League movie we deserve.
and so let's talk about Wonder Woman 84, which
So the highlight of these movies is that when we're sitting here and we're saying, "Oh, but we want this to be good. We want this to be good." We all loved the first Wonder Woman, and we wanted Wonder Woman 1984 to be just as good
it did
as
it.
the original.
Wonder Woman did what none of the other DC movies did, which was it made a movie that got the character right, that got the ideas right, that gave you the feeling that you want to have when you're watching a Wonder Woman movie, and it did it well. And you walked away, and yeah, you have complaints coming out of any movie. Like, where it's not like we're saying there were things that I was like, I don't know that I like that. Ares was not like entirely hashed out at times. Like, it was a little bit weird sometimes, but
So if you haven't understand, and I mean if you haven't realized already, we're here to talk about Wonder Woman 1984.
There's the second.
But it's Wonder Woman 1984 too. All right, so Wonder Woman 1984 is Diana Prince lives quietly among mortals in the vibrant, sleek 1980s, an era of excess driven by the pursuit of having it all. Though she's come into her full power, she maintains a low profile by curating ancient artifacts and only performing heroic acts incognito. But soon, Diana will have to muster all of her strength, wisdom, and courage as she finds herself squaring off against Maxwell Lord.
did you do that on purpose?
I missed that part.
And the
Oh my
cheetah,
God.
a villainess
It
who
was so dumb. It was
possesses
done well so well. Oh my god.
who
He was watching the wrong
possesses
movie.
superhuman strength and agility.
He's watching the wrong movie.
So that's Wonder Woman.
When that happened.
Comes from the budget of $200 million. Rotten Tomatoes score
Oh, all
of
right.
62% and written by Patty Jenkins and Jeff fucking Johns.
Produced by, and this is a big one, and this is where I get a little bit upset because this goes back to the Ray Fisher thing. Jeff Johns, Gal Gadot,
really
and somebody else.
Producers have only so much.
But that's
say.
where Ray Fisher I want to have a say in creative. Then
Mm,
fucking put the money and produce the movie.
man.
Which means that Gal Gadot had say in some of the things that happened, and I felt like she had a good grasp of the character
Before we
and
jump,
some of the things that happened.
So
I don't
before
think
I didn't know that she was a producer. So now I feel like that's why there were so many like close up reaction shots of her.
well, she doesn't have that say. That's
Dude,
Patty.
but still, there
So
were
the
so many like
the screenplay.
Nah,
there were so many like something's happening off screen and all you see is her face like doing
but
a weird.
But screen.
Well, all right,
I
so-
don't get the vibe from
I didn't
Gail
like
that she
that.
loves herself, but the screenplay plays off of okay, this is where you zoom up, and that's not, and she had nothing to do with the screenplay.
Yeah, that's the director.
But you can tell that she has an invested interest in this movie, in this
And
character.
so she
And
has.
I have nothing bad to say about her in this movie. Nothing bad.
I do.
Who, Gail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was a little flat of all the actors in it. Like, I think Pedro, great. Chris Pine has become one of my favorite actors. Krista Wiig, for what she was kind of given, was great in it. I don't know. I didn't feel it from Gail, especially
love
the
it.
beginning. The beginning, I think it like took her a little bit to like get into it, just like the movie itself.
So let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Hold on. Well, before,
I have my
yeah, I
notes.
guess we should get into it. You have notes. And the first, can I say the first note? If you haven't seen Wonder Woman 84, go watch it first.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, pause.
Themyscira Ninja Warrior is what I call the opening scene. What the
Pointless
fuck
opening
was
scene.
I wrote down. I could not care less about.
So
this
I
movie,
want-
this
I want-
competition.
I want the viewers to know in the past I didn't take any notes while I watched this film. I sat there as a first time viewer, no notes, and I put these notes together while I was crafting the episode. So I want you to know that I went in not looking to trash the movie. I went in
Mhm.
looking to enjoy and watch it like I do every other film.
I, for the record, did the same. If we're recording and I know that we're watching a movie, I'll have my laptop and I'll like type out notes. The opening scene happens. I was like, I'm just gonna watch it. I'll go off of whatever I remember. And then that turned into I picked my phone up and like literally in the notes of my phone just wrote down because I was like, this is a funny bit. Themyscira Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, and
Because that's
Marvel-
what it was. Like when they're running across the logs, I'm like, this is fucking American Ninja Warrior. Like I've seen this. I've literally seen this challenge.
See, I usually don't take notes either, but once that scene started, I'm like, dude, I really cannot care less. I have to take.
And
notes
I
of this
also,
movie.
for the record, watched it a week after the movie came out. I'd seen how bad it was trash, and so I almost wanted to like, I wanted to like it, and I to an extent, I actually coming into this, and we haven't decided if we liked it or not. We haven't announced that, but I said I'm going to defend aspects of this movie. I know that I will do that already, and I think that comes from the first movie being good.
Yeah,
To the point where like
same.
you the first Thor is good, the second one's not great.
Yeah.
But there's aspects of the second Thor that are still good.
Which is funny because
Chris Hemsworth is not bad in that film.
Which is what I said to Bob right before we sat down to record. I said it's the Iron Man 2 and 3. It's the Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 effect, where the movie's not great, but you still somewhat enjoy it.
So like they did a good enough job of creating Wonder Woman in the first movie to the point where now you fast forward,
Which is my first note, but
70 years, right? Is that what it would be? Because
about 50. It was
For what,
like
no,
19,
it was
20,
World War One,
Oh, so okay, so
right?
it's about
Wasn't that when
70,
World War
yeah.
One?
Yeah.
Yeah, so about
Yeah, so it's about 70 years, right? And so you fast forward 70 years, and so Marvel says like she's flat in the beginning, and I think that's kind of like the purpose is that she's a little flat because she now is just living this like drab life. Oh, because she doesn't have Steve, she doesn't have anything, and she's just going through the motions because she's here to do her thing and kind of like protect the world. And so like I got that, and they created that, they established that by having a good first movie, which is what DC has not done a good job of.
So Marvel, I agree. Marvel and I talked briefly too about the beginning of the film has no payoff. There's no point.
It's the truth thing. That's all. That entire scene is the fact that Diana cheats.
Mhm.
She falls off her horse. She doesn't hit the thing. She slides down. And then Robin Wright, Jenny from Forrest Gump, grabs her before she can win the competition and says, "You cheated. Like you didn't do all the things that you need to do to win. So you don't get to win."
See,
And
I didn't get that.
it's more important. She says it. She openly says,
No,
she's like,
no, I know she
But
said
what's
that.
the payoff for the later of the movie? Is it
Because-
She says always the truth.
the truth is what wins in the idea that like, yeah, you want these things. That's why I like the idea, the message around this movie is actually, in my opinion, probably the best message that I've seen in a superhero movie. It has a better theme than more than like, oh, good triumphs over evil. It's that idea that like, yeah, we all have these things that we wish happened, right? You wish that this would to jump completely ahead to what. Well, we'll get there.
So
You wish this, you wish that, but like that's not the world. That's not how it goes. And so until you can accept the truth and just say this is where I'm at and this is what I can do or this is what I'm capable of or this like the idea, does Diana want Steve to be there? Yeah, but is Steve actually there? Like is that really him? Is that the way that everything played out? No, that's not the truth.
Which
So it's more for Pedro's character because he's
Exactly.
cheating. Okay. That
So-
I mean that makes
And that's why so that's the problem.
So you've
Do you want to get there?
yeah, we're gonna get there.
I'm saying, like, do you want to talk about this now, or do you want to wait till we get to the end?
We can wait, but I'm just gonna say I pulled a Shane, and you've convinced me that at least the message of this movie is very clear because I did not.
Problem, and this is the problem, is how the message is conveyed when you get to that point in the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. So all right, let's start it off. So after that, we just talked about that briefly. Why 1984? What's happened these last 70 years that you don't feel the need to fill in a story?
I think it's cool, which is that pissed me off. So like this could have been Stranger Things type nostalgia.
There's no nostalgia. There's no music.
Here's the thing that pissed. So I have this is one of my notes. They
It's
go to the gala.
inaccurate.
They go to the gala where Diana meets Steve Trevor again, which we'll get to. Like we can talk about that. But just score wise, music wise, they play 80s music at this gala event, which is a weird vibe. Everybody's dressed super fancy. They're playing like 80s like techno type music, and then they have the Steve Trevor like 1980s montage when he's like learning how to dress and learning how to go on the escalator, and they're playing classical music.
Yeah, yep.
It
It
like
makes no
didn't
sense.
fit. It like vibed so wrong.
That was a huge fuck up where it's like this beautiful operatic music and you're like, what is happening?
And
here?
it's the
Why?
perfect time to just be playing like
I feel like
What
the
they
only-
played in the
dance hall days. You know what I
only-
mean? Like just like play an 80s song there. It's the 1980s.
The only
The
type
trailer
of nostalgia they have
had-
is when they're like walking through the mall.
But that was like his, like,
Yeah.
all right, we're caught up. And then it's just like the
Which
visually, the nostalgia is there. I think
actually-
part of it is, hey, we don't want to have cell phones.
I
Marvel-
wrote down a note for that because I wrote down old man in the mall looking at ass. Nice.
Marvel, what were you saying?
The trailer had that awesome cover of the 80s. Like they could have just played that. I forget the song exactly,
It
but
didn't make any sense to me. It's like, hey, we want to have Kirsten Wiig dress weird in like 80s stuff.
Which I liked Kirsten Wiig in this.
One of my notes is I want to
So,
work at a museum because apparently
Kristen Wiig.
is it Kristen or
It's
all right,
Kristen.
Kristen Wiig. All right. I one of my notes is I want to work at a museum because apparently it's just absolutely attractive women everywhere.
So also
Gal Gadot and Kristen Wiig both work in the same
So-
Smithsonian like department,
but she's
Bullshit.
not attractive. She has curly hair and a side ponytail,
and
so
glasses.
Yeah.
She wears
Oh,
glasses and her
yeah.
hair's in a bun. She's not
It's a
attractive.
classic, not another teen
Yeah.
movie.
you can't walk in heels. Look,
She's
out.
wearing she has glasses on.
So also
Gross.
another part of this is that the period accuracy was. I think you mentioned Marvel, the Apple computer
Holy
being in
shit.
color, and then my grandpa. I watched the movie with my grandpa, and he said that the turnstiles didn't come into like they're in one of the buildings. I think Maxwell Lord's leaving the building
Mhm.
after he grants the wish to the one person, and there's a keypad turnstile, and he said those didn't come into play until like the mid '90s. And it's
And
like you can't even.
Yeah, like like you said at the end, like spoiler, he just broadcast every TV, and it's like the first Apple computer, which was green on a green screen. Like all it was is text, and his face is on there in full color, like it was a HD TV.
Yeah,
It's impossible. I know it's magic, but
I hated the
fuck?
ending. But
There's a lot that I didn't like, but there's.
Oh,
stuff
I
that
have so many problems with the ending, but I guess we can.
Let's
save
start
that.
in the
Okay, so
beginning.
let's
So
just-
before we get to that, let's go in order because I already want to jump to the ending, but I don't
So,
want to do that yet.
one more
One thing
quick-
that I really need to talk about.
One
I
more
wrote it
quick
down.
note.
No, I
One
needed
more-
to talk about it.
one more
I need
quick-
to talk about it. I
one,
need to talk about it.
one more quick note, and then I'll get to it.
All right. But I need to talk about
The
it.
opening scene after the Themyscira, the opening scene on Earth, felt to me like Batman 1960s Adam West.
the mall.
The mall, the
Loved it.
car.
I like the mall a lot.
The
You know what the
mall,
mall reminded me
car.
of? And I don't know if
Did
you
not-
guys have
didn't
ever
hate it. Didn't hate it. It was just cheesy.
I don't know if RP or Shane has seen this, but I know for a fact, just knowing how like that Marvel and I are very similar, it reminded me of the scene in First Kid
Which one's first
with
kid?
Sinbad when he's like
Oh.
when the kids in the
Plays the
VR thing,
president?
and then the guy like the guy kidnaps the president's son. They're like in
Yeah.
the mall. Like it reminded me of that mall.
That opening scene gave me hope. Like I didn't mind the Themyscira stuff. I was like, all right, we're back. It's just like, all right, they need to establish that she at one time was a kid. There's some kind of message that's going to be she needs to learn. Like I was fine with it. It wasn't over. It didn't overstay its welcome. So I was like, all right, fine. They showed the cool gold armor that fucking comes into play later, barely for 2 seconds, and then like
that
the-
gold armor that gets ripped to shreds in like 5
yeah,
seconds.
that's don't even. But the mall scene, I was like, all right, like this is fun. She's bright, vibrant. The mall, they're showing all the cheesy 80s mall shit. She's gliding around using a rope, throwing her tiara. I was like, fuck it, Wonder Woman.
The tiara thing, I was like, this is cheesy, but I liked it. And I will agree that it felt bright and vibrant, which the first film was bright and vibrant, and I like that. It was just something about her, like, just kind
I
of
don't know.
popping up here and there was just like,
winking to the kid, sliding little girl. I was having fun. I was like, all right, this is cool. Like it's
Yeah,
like it's not the DC
and the
Mark
theme.
Snyder thing.
That's true. It is not the DC thing, but to me, it felt like CW DC.
And I think that's
And-
what she's going for, though. Like, I
and
think
that's
she's
just-
going for that Donner era.
I like the DC
movie.
TV for what it is. Like, it's not. I used to really love Arrow and Flash, but of late, it's gotten really bad. But it is like some of their HBO shows are good, but this just wasn't really what I was looking for from the big time sequel to like one of my favorite superhero movies.
One of the only good DC movies.
Yeah.
Well,
But
you're
for,
wrong.
like-
You're wrong, RP. It was a great opening.
I was gonna say, in Marvel's defense, that of all the notes I took, that didn't even like scratch the surface.
But why? Like, I'm okay. Like, someone was to bring up this movie to me, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh my god!" I like it was fine. It just gave me a very 1980s vibe. I didn't say I didn't like it. I didn't say I loved it. But also, this is why we watch these movies, because we like different things and we talk about them.
See,
So
it took me so long to actually watch it because of what you guys said about it.
Yeah, and
fact
I
that
was actually surprised that you even watched it.
Honestly, dude, it was so hard to sit through and watch it. I did not want to watch it at all.
I didn't see it. Wasn't hard for me whatsoever. I did enjoy most of it, but I also there were parts of it where I was like,
Shane's a guy that is a big Star Wars fan and hasn't even seen Solo. And I know that
I still haven't seen
no,
Solo.
I literally just rewatched Solo 3 days ago.
I'm doing my Star Wars rewatch right now, so I'm gonna watch.
But you didn't watch Solo.
Episode 3. Watch
Okay.
Solo.
But you didn't watch Solo because, one, we didn't go opening night, and then two, you didn't hear great things about it.
I go by what you say.
But
You said it was a fun movie, which means it's okay.
So is Doolittle.
So
So
is
is
Doolittle.
Doolittle.
Only if you have two. Only if you got
kids.
two kids.
Doolittle's a
two
good
kids.
time.
Solo was fine.
I never go by critics. I go by what RP says.
I don't go
If
by
he
critics
says
either.
it was the best movie ever, I'm like, all right, this movie's probably good. If he
But it's
loved it,
99% of the movies are pieces.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Not this one.
You
Not
gotta-
this one.
You got to take it with a grain of salt. He said it was a fun movie, so I'm like, okay, it's probably worth watching. But
That's why I hold my opinions ever since I underwhelmed the finale for Bob of The Boys. I hold my opinions
I'm
unless I'm
doing-
asked.
I'm doing my Star Wars
Appreciate
rewatch.
that.
I will watch Solo in that.
So the
rewatch.
problem with this was, and I agree with Shane on this in this regard, and what RP just said, this came out on Christmas. Sorry, I was not watching you on Christmas.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't watch
there was
it
things
either.
going
We were
on.
recording, that's why.
Yeah, we were busy.
Exactly. We had to record the entire day just to make sure that we were live
We're
for everyone.
guys, we're
still
still
recording.
recording
It
from
was
Christmas.
exhausting.
Our fans won't let us
So
sleep.
then I was like, all right, I'll watch Wonder Woman 84 on Saturday. And I want to say, if I'm thinking correctly, I went to watch it. And I'd already started to see things on Twitter. I'd seen things from people I know people I trust as far as their opinion, but people who also, like, I take their opinions with a grain of salt as well. But I'd seen, like, really bad things. And I'm like, fuck. And then I was like, I'm just going to watch Soul instead.
That's why.
So we're going to talk about Soul at some point.
At
At the end of the
some
episode,
point,
we'll
yeah,
talk
at
about
some
Soul
point.
very quickly.
Excellent movie.
Don't talk about Solo. I haven't seen it.
I thought you watched it.
No.
You said you.
Oh, Soul. I thought you
Soul.
said Solo.
No, Soul.
Yes.
I have watched Solo since.
And
this
that
summer,
is
bro.
the epitome of Shane on the
I
podcast.
thought you said, dude, we were just talking about
that's
Solo
right.
2 minutes ago.
Soul. It's 2 letters. I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
No,
that's not.
Oh, I was a very big fan.
All right,
I
so
would like
let's
to talk
put
about
everything in
Soul.
perspective. I watched Soul Saturday, and then instead of watching Wonder Woman 84 for the rest of the entire week, I go, well, because I'm off this week, I go, well, this is as good a time as ever to get ahead in the Star Wars rewatch, and I watched Solo, Rogue One, A New Hope, and Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back.
So anyway, back to the pressing matters. So let's just get back into the. Okay, so we get into the
Well,
movie.
no, wait, I didn't finish the conversation. You just cut me off.
That's how it feels.
I'm good at it, but the fact so now it was a week and a day before I actually watched it, so I'd already seen so much feedback.
Yeah.
So you kind of go into it. You would watch it. Marvel would watch it and been like, "Hey," like text the group, "Hey."
Yeah, I went
Like,
into.
not to say, and all. If you're texting like, "Hey," or whatever you said, Marvel, it's
I
like
said, hey, we need to talk about this movie.
exactly.
Which could go
That's
either
never
way.
like this movie's so good.
Yeah,
Who said we need a Wonder Woman episode? Was that Marvel?
Marvel. And then I
Yeah, I
followed
think
up.
that
I
was-
doubled down on it.
And then I saw so it was like Wednesday, and
It's the
I
same
was
way that you
I
said
was-
we need an episode about Marion Bright, and so we did it.
Yeah, I was very adamant about that. So I was planning on watching it Thursday, and then you tweeted on Wednesday or something. You were like, Wonder Woman 82 ... Oh geez, and I was like,
I
oh,
was
I
the-
don't
that
want
was
to
the-
fucking watch
That was
this
the
movie now.
prequel.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 82 was the prequel. This is
Yeah.
84.
That was
whatever.
it was a mini episode that they put in between.
I care so little about this movie.
They just touched on her. She
I'm
was
not,
like,
I'm not even here to trash this movie. Like,
No, I'm not
She
here
was
to
getting a
trash it.
coffee in 1982, and they showed there was a trailer that they put
I
out
will say that I'm here to
2
understand
years
this.
prior.
I'm here to understand this movie more, which Bob has already done for me with this whole.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to now not understand this movie because this is what I've been saying when I said, "Hey, I that's something I need to say. Something I need to say."
the Dreamstone?
Nope, that has nothing to do with anything that's actually important to anything whatsoever. On Wonder Woman's bookshelf, right next to Steve Trevor's picture and his watch, is a book titled The Natural History of the Gorilla. And that fucked my brain up and might live rent-free in my head for the rest of my life. And I want to say, like, hey, is that, like, something for Gorilla Grodd? Like, is that something specific for
Okay,
DC. I
that-
want to do that, but I know that's not the case. It's just a fucking book about gorillas that she owned, and
But
it's
I
funny
want
to me.
to. I want to think it's about Gorilla Grodd. I'm going to think it's about Gorilla Grodd. All right. So then the
Or
movie
Monster
goes.
Mama.
The movie goes on.
The natural history of the
The
book.
movie goes on, and we meet Cheetah, which I don't even remember her name.
Meredith.
Meredith.
Barbara Minerva.
Barbara Minerva.
Yeah.
McGonagall. And then the movie starts going, and then this Dreamstone shows up and the CIA or the FBI
FBI.
wants them to
Barbara Minerva has to identify where it's because
and they
but it all
never
goes
follow
back.
back up either.
It all goes back to that original scene though, which is why that scene was important.
which is
and
what they were
it
trying to
wasn't just
steal,
like a
yes.
throwaway because they uncover this like black market thing. Kristen Wiig, to me, her like Barbara, her the Minerva character before she goes through the transformation is every Kristen Wiig character that she's ever played.
Yes.
And so I actually was like, oh my god, here we fucking go again. And then she develops. Doesn't it?
Yeah,
she got
liked
better.
her. To jump back to what you said, I agree with you. I watched this movie being like, oh, okay, like I've heard so many. I watched it this Sunday. I've heard so many bad things. Like, is this? Is this that? I was like, oh my! You watch when you hear something's good and when you hear something's bad, you do watch it with a different a different critical eye. So I did want to add that because that I did feel like that does affect your interpretation of the film. But anyway, I don't know why I waited so long.
I can
to
give
add
you
that,
I can give you the 3 to 5 scenes that to me take this movie from being Wonder Woman again to being I didn't like it.
do you want to touch upon them as we go?
Yeah, I'll tell you where they are.
Because I don't want to walk through
here's
this film. I don't want to walk through this film like we typically do. I kind of want to like breeze through it and then call out the ridiculous
But
parts.
like that's the
of
difference
film.
between this movie versus Suicide Squad, right? Which is what so like
Stinks.
that it stinks exactly. I love the word stinks. That's how I love it so much. But so like Suicide Squad, there's 1,000 fucking scenes where I could be like, there's so much fucking wrong here. This I can say, all right, they could have done this better. This was lazy. This is, you know what I mean? And the fact that with 20 minutes of change, you make this a better film. That's where I'm like, this movie's not that bad. It's just the stuff that they fucked up.
It's also
It's
too
like
long.
cringeworthy.
It was
I-
also
The
too
pacing's
long.
bad too. The pacing is really bad in this
Yeah.
movie.
It's too long.
It's
I
long.
I texted
We-
I texted you guys when I started watching. I was like,
Yeah.
how the fuck is this 2.5 hours?
Do you know what I
we
think?
paused it so we could let the dog out, and there was still 45 minutes.
Do you know what I think it is for me though?
Christ.
And this just goes back to what Marvel said earlier. I realized, and this is one of my notes, Marvel. I love, and I knew this already, but like I love Chris Pine. So like
Yeah.
once he came into the
The cast is awesome.
but once
They
Yeah.
do
I love
their
him,
best.
and I love him as Steve Trevor. So once he came into the fold, it went so much quicker to me.
But the
'Cause
problem with that
I
was the
was, like,
huge
invested.
problem with that is it wasn't Steve Trevor. That's a
Which was so
huge
weird. So that's
problem.
one thing that was fucking weird. So that's number one. That's
Yeah,
one on my
that's
list,
a
right?
huge
The Steve
problem.
Trevor return is lazy.
But before I get to that, should I just briefly talk? I just want to briefly talk about the Dreamstone, okay?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about
Well, that leads into Steve Trevor, so it's perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how does it work? And where does it come from? How does it shows up in the mall, whatever, weird it's in a mall. But then they connect it to Maxwell Lord because there's a tab that says Maxwell Lord on it that
Yeah,
he ordered it.
What was that?
But that doesn't even play into how they attach to Maxwell Lord. That's how Diana attaches to
Yeah.
Maxwell
Yes,
Lord.
yeah,
Lazy.
This
It was
still
just
doesn't make
lazy.
any sense. So like that whole thing, it just doesn't check out.
It doesn't make any sense. He shows up out of nowhere.
But that's a plot hole that I could breeze away from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't need that.
That's
I know how he got the stone. They showed how he got the stone. If they didn't show that and it was just like him with this like receipt or that receipt in the thing for Maxwell Lord, I'd be like, wait, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
But
it's
why
like,
did
showed him
he-
get it and the whole like Minerva thing and that made sense.
it's like when
Why
you
did
do
he
a
need to hire
Robin-
those people to steal the crystal if he already owned it?
Did he hire them?
Well, I think it's
Did
like
they ever
he
establish that?
I think it's like he paid for it, and maybe it ended up where it wasn't supposed
Black
to.
market, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe like that's
Wait,
like
did
my.
he hire the thieves in the beginning? Did they say that?
I don't know.
I was hoping that's how I interpret it because they
See,
were
that's
there.
what I don't know. I'm interpreting it as
Maybe-
they tried to steal it.
maybe-
That's where it came in.
Yeah, maybe he was buying it off the black market, and they were trying to steal what he was trying to buy.
Maybe.
So then he came into he knew that they had it, and that's why the receipt was there because that was his receipt from when he was purchasing it from the jewelry store.
So the one thing
They don't
about
explain
this-
any of that shit. So that's still fucked up. So you're right.
The one thing about the film too is they don't really establish how this stone works because, like at first glance, Diana wishes for Steve back, and Steve doesn't show up for 20 minutes later. But then everybody else does their wish, and
Well,
it happens like, immediately.
He's still trying to find her. Because you got to imagine he wakes up in some apartment. He's like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, and
Listen,
why did they put him in a random? Why
I had a
didn't they
problem
just
with
bring
that.
him back?
Was that just
That-
a
it
regular
was-
guy who Steve then took over?
Yes.
It was lazy. It was that's
For
what, they,
four
what
days.
happens.
happens
Lazy.
when she renounces her wish later in the movie?
He
Does
went
that
back
guy-
to being
went
that
back to
guy.
being that guy.
He just
Which-
goes back to being
He
the guy.
made sure at the end.
Which Marvel wants to
That's
bring
right.
up
Yeah, yeah,
a
you're right,
hot
right.
point
Yeah.
that I actually want you to talk about a little bit.
It doesn't suck, but there's parts.
Well, first I want to talk about the Dreamstone is something that I think what Maxwell Lord does with it, I thought was great. I think that's something that the movie did well. Normally, like a villain gets like one of these Dreamstones and they bumble it up. But him wishing to become the Dreamstone was a really good idea, first off, and it's a great homage to his comic book character because in
He's
the
like super-
comic he's persuasive, like psychically persuasive. So it was like a good way to establish his powers, and also it was just a good idea to use the Dreamstone that way. Like someone would just be like, "Oh, I wish I had $1 million," and it fucking done. But him
and
wishing,
he gets something from them.
yeah, for him to become the Dreamstone, I thought was a really actually creative and good idea for what it was.
I think there was just something about it with me. Like I said, Marvel did it really well with the Infinity Stones. There's just something about this that just felt so cheesy to me that I didn't buy it. And maybe I went in with a critical eye. I don't really know.
But they didn't explain it well. That was that was what they fucked up. Because all of a sudden he's having people wish on him, and then he's like, "And I'll take $1 million from you." And my wife looked at me. She's like, "How is he taking things?" I was like, "I don't fucking know. I have no idea.
Also,
I don't
like-
know what's going on."
Nobody questions it at all. He's just kind of like, even the scene when he's on TV, he's like, "Yeah, wish for something, it'll come true." Like nobody questions it. Nobody.
Because that's like
It's
if you
never
could wish for me, that's like, yo, Shane, what would you wish for if you could wish for it? And people are like, oh yeah, I'd wish for this. Like these people aren't saying that things thinking it's going to come true.
Yeah.
That's just a guy on TV who's taking over, like the guy who wishes for the lady to die.
So,
Like, he
but-
doesn't think she's gonna fucking die.
But also the thing about that is that he wishes for her to die, and she wishes that those Irish
and they
bastards
start getting arrested,
to go back where they came
which
from.
is big in '84.
Was the Irish getting arrested?
That's the
I was
IRA. That's like Northern Ireland.
My
That's,
thing was like, okay, they have to go back to their mother's vaginas.
That's England.
That was
No, that's
my-
it. That was England and Ireland. That's what it was. They didn't have to go now.
But,
That's what I
yeah.
wish every day. It hasn't come true. I
But
blew out
like-
candles the other
But
day.
like that,
still.
wouldn't you think if Diana wished that Steve Trevor was back, she would wish him?
You didn't hear what she wished though. You don't know
No.
how she phrased it, which is I think
But
their
I
loophole
guarantee you, she didn't say, "Hey, I only want his
Yeah.
likeness back," and then they show you the entire. Like he looks like that random guy from. Fun fact: from a Hallmark movie.
from Hallmark
That man
movies,
is from a Hallmark
he,
movie.
he looks like a
Who?
Hallmark actor.
the guy who Steve Trevor was.
is in multiple
Oh,
Hallmark
100%.
movies.
My dad said that because at the end with the cheesy, boring.
Wait, who was
Christmas
it?
ending.
Marvel?
I don't know his name off the top of my head, but if you IMDb, he's
Ask
in a
your
bunch
dad,
of
Bob, he
Hallmark
probably knows.
movies.
He does.
He
My
does
dad
look
knew-
like-
my
he
dad
does-
said
he
that
does
he
look like a
looks like a
Hallmark
Hallmark
actor.
guy, and he was. I just don't understand why they didn't bring him back and then make him like fade away
'Cause it
because
was
that's more.
lazy.
Yeah, you're right. It's lazy.
Like,
That's more believable.
That's the thing. The
a
the
fucking
problem that I
stone.
have with this movie is that there's, like I said, there's 3 to 5 aspects of the film that are just very lazy. Steve
So
Trevor is number one.
the actor's
I
name
love
his name is Christopher Paloha, and he's in
a Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Double Holiday and I don't know some other
All
ones.
right, next
But
December we're gonna just strictly watch his movies.
his name he's credited as Handsome Man in,
Wait,
in
what-
Wonder Woman.
I was gonna say, is that the Wonder Woman credit?
Yes.
So, I love that Chris Pine came back. You know, like I'm happy that Steve Trevor came back, But the way that they did it, Steve Trevor Return is lazy.
I would have
Even if
preferred
you
that it
wanna
was
do
a
it-
figment of her imagination.
Even if you want to do it that way, the idea of him like repeating lines from the original Wonder Woman and like putting the watch on her hand and like saying those things to her to prove it in the middle of the gala was like,
Weird.
what the fuck is this?
Weird.
Yeah, it was
It
just
was weird.
didn't fucking hit right. But then we've gotten to that point. Now the music starts to get in my head. And this is what Marvel and I were saying earlier. You have this gala event. You're not playing classical music, which is like, and for DC, that's a fucking, like, that's their go-to. Like, remember Batman versus Superman when Batman goes to the like, when Bruce Wayne goes to the event and it's like, I don't remember what he went to. He's all dressed up. Like, that's an easy winner. Oh, yeah, you're going to go to a fancy event. There's classical music. People are drinking champagne. And then 2 scenes later, you have Steve Trevor, who's in his like getting changed into all his ridiculous different outfits, which was hilarious to me. Big fan of it. Loved it.
Did you not like it, Marvel?
Oh, I thought it was such a cheesy like time waster.
But it was
Like,
perfect
but that's-
80s like nostalgia stuff.
I guarantee
don't-
you that's a very much Marvel thing
Oh,
to
that
do.
was a Marvel thing
Yeah,
to do.
100%.
100%.
If
But
it
the
was
music didn't
2
fit
minutes
what was
shorter.
happening.
What'd you
If
say,
it was
Marvel?
2 minutes shorter, it would have been fine. I just think it went on too long. They could have done
No,
like
I loved
anything else with them.
I loved him with the shoes. Wait, so what about the shoes? The shoes are good there, right? And she's like, yeah, you can keep the shoes.
So
Like, I thought that was funny because I like them two together. I
So
think is the other thing.
before Maxwell Lord and all this stuff happened, Diana and Barbara. Diana wants nothing to do with Barbara, and then she finds out she has a stone and immediately wants to have lunch with her after, which is like, Diana, what the fuck? That's fucked up. There you go. And then she magically follows her and saves her from this drunk man. Because I want to spend some time talking about Cheetah because she was a favorite of the film for me, actually. I actually really liked her.
I was actually surprised, dude. I usually hate Kristen Wiig.
No, I like
she
Kristen
was
Wiig.
She was good.
I didn't like.
I also think she's attractive. You ever see Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
Yeah.
Great in that movie. She was great in that movie.
I didn't like.
She just went so evil so quickly.
Well,
Yeah,
for
she's
no
it was
reason.
out of nowhere.
no, she has no reason.
I get
like-
the whole backstory of how she shit on her entire life, but like literally so quick from one scene to another. She's evil.
So she wished to be Diana, then kills the guy. Well, probably kills the guy that tried to rape her. Fine, whatever. But then telling the homeless man that she was so nice to, like, to me, a bigger heel turn.
Yeah,
It would have been like to kill the homeless man rather than the guy that deserves to get the shit beat out of him.
No, she was losing her humanity. That was her.
So
That
all right,
was
so
what the
Marvel
Jason was stealing from her.
Do you think that this is that why she turned? So she tells Maxwell Lord that she wants to become an apex predator. But do you think that's why she becomes a cheetah? Because
Yeah,
she was
he
losing
gives her an extra
humanity?
wish. He says it. I'll give you another wish.
I know, but like, is that what it is? Because she's losing her. Like, apex predator cheetah doesn't make sense to me.
But
I don't consider a cheetah an
they're
apex
top-
predator.
They're top predator.
But do you think it's the idea that she's losing her humanity so she becomes an animal? Because then that's where I was starting to get like torn. And also, I don't understand why she got another wish.
well,
That was an issue
do.
I had as well.
I do. Because she renounced her wish. She said, I no longer want to be like anybody else. But she wanted to be like Diana.
But she never said I renounce my wish like Diana had to say.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
but
mean?
She
Like-
said, I don't want to be like that anymore. I want
Fair
to be
enough.
So,
I
like,
can get
it's in terms of like
I-
description, I get that.
Yeah. So how I took it, because even at one point, I think it's when she showed up at the White House and beat
Which
up Wonder
that
Woman.
scene in itself, how they all just march into the fucking White
that.
House.
No, we got to go back though if we're gonna go to all this shit.
Well, I'm saying this is the point where I figured out what was going on with her was Diana says to her, like, look at you, like you're losing your kindness and your whatever.
That's all that. Yeah, that's where I was like, all right,
And
she's
that-
gonna become the cheetah. But then she said the apex predator thing.
But the way I took that was she wished on the wish stone, the actual wish stone. This was Maxwell Lord's version of the wish stone. So she got like a bonus wish. Because I think he even says, like,
See-
I'm going to give you a bonus
See,
wish.
the problem
He
with that
does.
is that there's so many workarounds with this plot. This plot should be, okay, she renounced her last wish. Hi, Meg. She renounced her last wish, and
See, I didn't
you
think she
got to do it.
renounced it. I think she just got a bonus one because he says, I'll give you another
Well,
wish.
so he does say that, and one of my things was like she gets an extra wish which nobody else got. But he also says when people are wishing, like it's not. I don't think that it's so much that she got an extra wish as much as it's him giving her other things because he starts saying like when he's broadcasting, he's like, I'll take your life, Will, and I'll take your health, and and she can have your things, and she can have this. So he's giving her stuff too.
Yeah, I mean,
Right? Like it's not the so I thought the wish thing was weird too.
it's a lazy workaround to make Cheetah. That's it. Like it's just.
But and then to highlight
So,
Cheetah as
but
the
I
main
don't
villain
even
when it
like-
was Maxwell Lord,
Well, because I think
I didn't like
think
either.
Cheetah's more enticing than
I think
Maxwell Lord. I like
need
Pedro
it.
Pascal.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
granted,
I mean-
Mandalorian season 2
but
had not
even
come out, but
even
Mandalorian.
before that,
But you know how much Mandalorian has boosted his fame.
but he was also in Game of Thrones. He was also in
I know,
Kingsman.
but
not
what I'm
talking about
saying-
you. I'm not
yeah.
talking about you, fans, just in general. Pedro Pascal's a great actor.
But you hype that. I feel like you at least put that in these trailers to be like, hey, look,
you should
look who
show
we
it.
got.
You should show him.
I
more
honestly,
than, like
Cause-
basically they showed his face as much less than what it's shown in the Mandalorian in the trailers.
to be, I'm being 100% honest with you. Until he started tweeting, I didn't realize he was in this movie.
I think
I had
because
no
he looked
idea.
like. I feel like in the trailers, Marvel, and correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like it didn't look exactly like his face.
He
Like
felt
he had
kind of
some
puffy.
fat.
He felt puffy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
He-
looked like he was wearing like a prosthetic chin.
I
that's
didn't
why
watch-
I didn't. That's why there was something off about him the entire movie.
I
that
didn't
made
watch
him not
the
look
trailer,
like him.
so I had no idea he was even in this movie.
I watched the
until
trailer and I
that
was like, this
first
movie
scene where
looks.
he walked in.
I watched the trailer and I was like, this movie looks fucking awesome. Which DC does a good job with their trailers. I feel like.
It might just be he has no beard.
Maybe that's what it
This
is.
is the first time we kind of seen him without.
Maybe it's the first time you see him clean cut.
Yeah.
So before we've kind of jumped all over the place in these last couple minutes. It's a big thing.
I want to go back to my lazy stuff, right? So because this is where I was. So Marvel didn't like the 80s nostalgia scene. The Steve Trevor airplane scene, I loved. Granted, I don't know that Diane, like that's in 1984. I don't know that her holding up a badge would open up doors. Like that's one of those like technologically,
True.
is this where we were at that point? But like the idea of this guy who was a pilot in World War I going into the Smithsonian and seeing all these different like spacecrafts, airplanes. I was like, this, like I genuinely was like, that's a cool thing to think about. Like they set that up well because I was like, why does Diana work at the fucking Smithsonian? What does that have to do with anything? And then, but really, it was just to give her the opportunity, I think, to take Steve Trevor there.
Do you think if Steve was used to flying a World War I plane, that he
absolutely.
would
So-
have no idea how to fly
Absolutely
a
not.
modern day jet?
He started flipping switches. They didn't have
Yeah,
switches
yeah,
back
that's
then.
what I was like. I
So
was
like that doesn't
"Ah."
matter. But I also like it comes back to me. I like Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Like I like him. I like him as Steve Trevor. I like him in fucking Star Trek. Like I just like him
He's-
in movies.
He's awesome, Star Trek.
And so like I like him, and one of the reasons I think I like Chris Pine is that he conveys emotions as a character very all the time. So like him walking in, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome for you, isn't it, Steve? You know, and like in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is like porn for you, and it's funny to me. To put him in the jet, and he fucking flies his jet, which I don't know that any jets are also set up with a passenger seat next to you. For the record, like I've watched Top Gun a few times. Goose never sat next to Maverick. The invisible jet thing is so lazy. One of the laziest things I think I've ever seen in a film, to be 100%
But does anybody
honest.
know how the invisible jet comes to be in origin?
There's a ton of different ways. So I actually researched it. They've kind of retconned it to a bunch of different things. Like at one point it was like alien technology. There's like a bunch of different reasons. And one of them is this. It's like a magic type situation. That's fine. You know what you do? In that first scene, when you're out on Themyscira, you have somebody explain to young Diana how her father made Themyscira invisible.
I think I would rather
the
that
idea-
than the whole other scene.
The idea, but no, so you can do it in the same scene. But the idea that Diana just goes, "Oh, my father made Themyscira invisible so that nobody else could find it, and I've been trying to do it ever since." That's fucking never been talked about ever in 2 fucking films.
My
And
problem
you're just
with
gonna bust this out, and then within 30 seconds, be like, "Boom, jet's invisible. Yeah, it's everything you guys wanted."
my problem with
Just
it is that
fan
she
service.
goes, "I've only ever done this once, and it was like a coffee mug."
Yeah, but then
And
she
then-
says, "And then
and
I
then
lost it," and I
something-
really like that line for the record.
That was funny. But then to go from she's only done it one time, it was a coffee mug, to something as complex as a jet.
I feel
Fuck you. Fuck you.
like Bob said, lazy. They wanted to introduce the invisible jet. They didn't really know how to. So this was their way.
And so now you have two things, right? So
But also, who flies through fireworks?
He had a lot of confidence
Chris
in where
Pine-
those fireworks were going.
Chris Pine.
You should have no
or
idea
Steve-
what a fucking firework.
Now, of course, it's the fucking 4th of July, right? Because what other? There's no fucking reason.
Christmas. It's Christmas time.
It's Christmas. It's the 4th of July. It's every fucking holiday you need to be. There's no reason for it to be the 4th of July other than, hey, we want to have a scene where they fly through fireworks.
Yeah.
And that is a DC thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
DC wants the visual effect. That's Zack Snyder. Let's have a slow-mo fucking upside down uppercut fucking
So
with an explosion in the background.
So speaking of visual effects, they did do a lot of visual effects, but they did do them.
They
I
didn't look
like
good.
the actions. I like the action scenes in this movie, but they did not look good. It's bad CGI, and Wonder Woman running is terrible. Marvel has a lot to say about this.
When she started picking up speed after Steve died,
Terrible.
that one's not as bad. The one where she's running the car chase scene.
When
she's
she
got
pops
like
out of the car and she starts.
she's got
running.
first off, when did she get changed? And two, she's got like the Tyler Hero I just made a 3 in the NBA finals like smirk on her face. And like I don't know what was going on there. The car chase scene might be some of the worst CGI I've seen. $200 million, you said?
200.
How much was Indiana Jones? They went over, right?
They did go over budget. No. They were under budget.
They were under budget. Better CGI. I don't think there was any, but better CGI.
But speaking of, I think we didn't talk about this on the last podcast, but I did tweet it out on the podcast account that on Disney's Investor Day, they did announce Indiana Jones 5 would conclude the series. And I don't know about you guys, but that's what I'm most excited for because I know a podcast that can get you ready for Indy 5 whenever you want it.
She just
And it's
dropped
previously
She dropped a
recorded.
promo for our own podcast. An
Did you
hour
just-
and 35 minutes into our own podcast.
And he did it with a shitty segue. That's
Look,
like
man,
peak. That's
Yeah.
peak previously recorded.
Things have been tough. We haven't hit our numbers.
I quit my job.
I quit my job to invest it. But anyway, jumping back
Listen, man,
to
those previously recorded checks haven't been
the
covered.
budget, they could have done so much more.
It's
One of the
Stevies.
worst scenes in the
steady.
entire movie is when she saves the 2 children
Oh.
in Egypt, and
Dude.
she fucking bashes their skulls in when she lands.
Wait,
such a
I
problem
didn't
with that.
see it because HBO Max fucking like lagged out.
She lands
Dude, it
directly
is
on that
so
kid's head.
And then
bad.
I went back, and every time it would fucking like dot.
Maybe
dot,
they were
and
trying to
it's-
hit-
Yeah.
She scoops up those kids, and when she's rolling on the
Dude,
ground,
she hits.
absolutely those kids.
She
smash
uses
their
those
head.
kids to brace her fall. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's
Not
so
those
CT
bad.
doesn't
by the
exist
way.
in the Middle East.
Those
that's what I heard.
dummies, the obvious dummies that they were.
Oh my god, I know. Because if they were real children, they would have been fucking dead.
We're a little further in the movie, but we missed one of my favorite notes that I made. When he's talking to that business meeting with that dude Simon,
Shane's got double space, by the way. This is
Yeah,
legit.
his shit's double space.
It's legit.
Better
I gotta
read
be
it.
able to read it. When he's talking with that guy Simon, he calls what the hell's his name? Maxwell Lord. He calls him a loser.
Oh, one of the main
Simon
guys. in the
calls
movie?
him a loser. Yeah.
He calls him a loser, and that is the sickest burn.
Oh my god! As a grown man in a business meeting,
Amazing.
calling the other guy a loser
He
is
was
100.
he was so upset
calls him
that
a
he
loser.
was called a loser.
calls him a loser in front of his son too.
He was so upset.
I have so
That
much
is-
to say about
You're nothing
the
but a
son.
loser.
If anybody called my dad a loser in front of me, I would be so
If
embarrassed.
anybody called your dad a loser in front of anybody, I would brace myself because he would break that person's face into the ground.
Yeah, I have so much to say about the son because this son
He looks
is.
nothing.
I want to
Why
see
is
the
he
mom. I
completely-
want to see
we
the
wanna
mom.
see
He's
the
so
mom.
much darker.
Whoa, we're cutting that.
No. His skin complexion is so much
He's
darker.
absolutely he's absolutely Asian.
Even Pedro Pascal is like,
But the thing is, Shane, we don't
make
see the
him-
mom. We don't see the mom.
but even Pedro Pascal, why do they make him so whitewashed?
was he whitewashed?
They make
did
him.
whitewash him. a
They
little
make
bit.
him so pale.
The DC thing, they whitewashed Ray Fisher too.
Yeah, they did.
Fuck Whedon.
I want to say this one
Take
thing.
it all back. I'm on your side, Ray.
There's two things about his son. One, he blatantly yells, "Fuck this kid! I don't want him. Why do I have him again?"
So, he goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's how many weekends do I have?"
And then second, at the end of the movie, when shit's hitting the fan, he's not only wandering by himself, but wandering on a highway and then at the end of the movie comes out of a bush and just happens to walk into Maxwell Lord and him be like, I'm sorry for
Spoiler,
everything I've done.
such a
kid
bad father.
fucks. He's a liver.
Yeah.
He's a survivor.
I don't want to jump.
That's huge. Maxwell Lord being a bad father is the fucking big part of this movie, which when you go back and you talk about the truth and all that stuff, Maxwell Lord is more concerned about his son having a dad who's successful than he is about being a successful father. Right? And so that's the big thing.
That was deep.
And Maxwell Lord pissed his bed when he was a kid.
He
Yeah.
did. Really, really messy, too. That was a bad one.
That makes him redeemable. He's a redeemable.
So, like,
he's a Ben Solo, a redeemable fucking fuck that. I can't wait to talk Star
You
Wars.
give Maxwell Lord those clips that happen. We have that's a whole like that might be the whole podcast of me talking about what the fuck happened when they went to that place.
That's a mini episode.
Those clips, you chirp those in throughout the film, and it changes everything entirely. But they throw them all at the end. It's like, oh wait, this guy's not that bad. Look at how bad of a life he had. You can't do that once this guy fucking almost wrecks the world. But all right, so all right, couple things. The car chase scene.
There's one thing I want to put in
Shane,
the middle.
talk about your notes from the car chase scene because some of them are kind of funny because I looked at his notes.
Yeah, so
because this is where he started to say "fuck you" to things.
Wait,
point in the
hold on,
movie-
Shane, is this the car chase in Egypt where like she's in her
after she
normal
hops
people
out of the
clothes?
car, yeah.
She's in her normal people's
She does
clothes.
a
She's like,
super-
no, don't hit us. Don't do that. Don't do this. And then
She
it's like,
does
all
that,
right,
like-
time to be Wonder
I don't
Woman.
think she said
like
don't hit
like in
us.
the old
I
Superman
don't
where
know.
he'd
I
go
don't
to
know.
he'd go to like a phone booth and he'd change into his
Yeah,
costume.
they
She
just
did
cut
that.
they cut the Steve Trevor's
So
face
at this
instead,
point,
and then
I
she
was
was already in costume.
I was so done with this movie.
It did
that-
have very like Linda
I was like,
Carter
oh,
vibes.
she just lassoed a bullet. Fuck you. Oh, she lassoed a fucking missile and she's riding it. Fuck you. I was
Lassoing
just
a
so-
bullet, I liked a lot for the record.
Yeah,
She
I didn't hate that.
Lassoing
that.
the
lassoed
RPG,
the RPG
to guide her
and rode it like Thor's hammer. Fuck you.
Then they go.
I
and
saw
see-
from Marvel.
They go and see this. So I hate that whole. I didn't like the CGI on that scene. I didn't like the action.
No, it was when she jumps in the air. It's terrible.
Then they go to this guy. This is one of the things that fucked me up more than anything else. Or no, they call fucking Minerva. I forget what this fucking scene was, where they're explaining how all these civilizations have fallen.
Yes.
And she's like, and they all fell without an explanation. And the first one is Romulus in Rome. I'm like, Rome is like the most documented fucking fall of a civilization, literally in the history of the world.
I didn't know that because I didn't even pay attention
He
to
kills
that
his
scene.
brother. That's how.
Well, that's No, it wasn't Romulus who fucking. It might have been one of the Romuluses, but
Remus,
Romulus
right?
and Remus is
Romulus
how
killed
that's how
Remus.
Rome's formed.
Well, Romulus
like-
is in Star Trek, and so is Chris Pine.
I think it's Romulus is the last emperor. It's one of like
Yeah.
a Romulus with a number, and that's who they talk about. I heard you, but like it's literally like the Germanic tribes invade Rome and they fucking crush Rome because it's too big to fucking maintain. Like it's very understood why Rome fell.
Who was that guy? Where did he come from, by the way? Did they establish-
Nobody. He's
How
from
they found
something
him
too. I
out?
didn't look him up, but he's like I recognize that actor.
No, I don't mean actor-wise. I mean in the movie. Who?
That was it. Was Minerva? Because she calls her and she said, "Look into where this thing came from." And so she starts looking into stuff, and she goes, "The Mayan, Inca Mayan,
mine.
was it Mayan civilization? Mayan civilization falls because of the Dreamstone." And she goes, "I have a lead, but it's not good." And it's literally like a flyer she picked up in the mall. She says that.
Hmm.
She's like it's a shaman who I found.
No, I must have blinked.
Yeah, no,
So-
she explains where that came from. So that's not as much of a lazy situation.
So as we proceed forward, the Maxwell Lords become the stone. Blah blah blah.
Which I do like.
Granting everybody's wish, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then they clearly steal this plot from another film, classic film. Wonder Woman sends Steve Trevor back to where he came from
Before we
after she's done raping this man.
Before you get to that, real quick, but I also like that they acknowledge that this is like at one point they say this is the monkey's paw. Like they know that
Yeah, the monkey's
this is a thing that they've done. It's a cliche like niche thing. It's not like they were like, oh, this is the first time this has ever happened. Somebody wished for something and something bad happens, and who could have ever expected this? When he's in the president's office, he's like, if only there was a way I could. Or right before that, he's like, if only there was a way I could like touch everybody. And I was like, or hold their hands. And I was like, are they going to do Hands Across America? In my head, I was like, are they fucking going to do Hands Across America?
That would have been better than what the fuck they did.
I know, and it would have
He
been.
turned around and was like, "Oh, what's this?" It's like, "Oh, it's a way we could talk to everybody in the world." He's perfect. Like, it couldn't have worked out any better.
So, one of the things after he grants everybody's wish, basically, when he's starting to gain power, they literally stole this plot from a cult classic film of Bruce Almighty.
Grease 2?
No, not Grease 2. Bruce Almighty. After he types
Well,
yes
he's
to
getting all the
everybody's
emails.
wish, he types yes to everybody. He goes out, and
Isn't he already God at that point,
the
though? It's a little
Sabres-
bit different.
the Sabres have won the Stanley Cup. The New York's all on fire. It's the exact same thing in this movie where he says yes to everybody, and the complete world
that's
is on
not
fire.
how- that's
I'm
gives.
saying after he's granting everybody's wish.
But that's the chaos already starts before that.
I still think Patty Jenkins and Jeff John stole from Bruce Almighty. That's what I think.
Well, last time I checked,
J.K. Rowling stole Halloween.
J.K.
Rowling stole Harry Potter.
J.K. Rowling stole Harry Potter. Yeah, and at one point, Harry Potter, there's absolute chaos that comes pretty quickly, so that might be a Bruce Almighty thing too.
But then also when he talks about getting Maxwell Lord talks about getting all this power from humans. This is where it starts to get a little weird. I would understand more if he was taking their power and being like this big, strong Hulk brute, like the Hulk. Instead, he's got like these wind gust powers, and to that
The
doesn't
wind
make
gust
sense.
power is the wish. Every time somebody makes a wish, that wind gust.
Yeah.
So this is another thing. This is where I'm going to stick up for this movie. It's the most powerful man in the world, fucking the strongest man physically?
No,
Well, absolutely not.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he said I'm going to take all of their wellness, all of their strength.
Because
And
all
that's-
these wishes are killing him.
Yeah, he was dying. That's why.
No. I understand that, but this
also,
is something that Bob picked up.
In
that I
RP's
didn't pick-
defense, explain the vitamin thing. They always, I need my vitamins. Explain that at some point. Why are the vitamins so important?
and
That's prior to him even having the
but
dream stone.
they also don't explain the gust. I mean, you picked up on that. I did it. I did, and there might be other hints to it.
It happens with
It's every time.
Minerva.
someone
It
wishes.
happens
And
with.
now when you're saying it, it does make
Yeah.
sense, but I didn't pick up on that necessarily. And I'm all like, okay, if it feels like he's getting powers, and his powers are like these wind gusts, where I would like mentally, I was thinking again, maybe I wasn't that invested. Maybe I was a little distracted because I watched it with my family, and it's just different not being in a movie theater. So I was a little distracted, but like off the cusp, I didn't really know that the wind gust. But now that you say that, that makes more sense to me.
So,
but I thought he would have taken people. I understood he took the people's powers to make him healthier because he was basically dying from granting all these wishes.
So
you're dying prior. That's why I don't get what's killing Maxwell Lord.
Was he dying?
He needed his vitamins. The first time he goes, before he has a dreamstone, he goes, make sure I have my vitamins. And then it starts to, and that's a Maxwell Lord thing. Like his nose bleeds, his ear bleeds, right?
That was cool. I like that little.
And I like that.
Go ahead. What did you have to add?
Your whole him becoming a hulking like monster, or whatever, would have been extremely stupid, and also would have been out of character because Maxwell Lord in this movie isn't a bad guy. Like he's not.
He's trying to make himself successful.
Yeah, he's not like a bad guy.
He wants the easy out.
He's not gonna turn into a monster and fight Diana because he doesn't want to.
To just clear for the podcast, I just meant that when he was saying "I'll take this, I'll take that," I was expecting like kind of what my thought process was him to be like, okay, he could be the same size and still have the strength of the Hulk. Like that's just what I was expecting. He's taking all of these people's strength. That's just what I was expecting. But Bob made sense that the wind comes from each gust that he makes. But I feel like they didn't do a good job establishing that. Like maybe they did, and I just missed it. I don't know. I'm not saying I've only watched this movie. I've only watched this movie once, and I think all of us have only watched it once too. So I haven't sat there and watched
it through this again.
Yeah, it's not something that I honestly want to watch.
I would honestly say I would say watch it because third quick fix, Diana being able to fly.
He loves this movie.
I'm going to defend this movie. I think that this movie is very well done.
I don't hate that.
The idea that she just jumps up in the air because she's upset, and then all of a sudden is like, "Hey, I can fly," and then in the next scene is wearing a costume with wings. I feel like they could have just fucking waited 1 second, gave her the wings when she learned to fly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna put her in a golden costume that literally has wings, have her flying when she has
I had a
wings on.
problem with that though.
It makes it so much easier.
Does she fly in Justice League?
Wonder Woman can fly.
She can fly,
She
but does she
flies in-
fly in Justice League?
She like jumps,
She
so it's
might
like
have.
gigantic jumps. I
So
don't think
she
flies.
doesn't fly in Justice League.
But
here's
which
the-
is what?
But
30
even
years
but
later?
even here, she's not flying.
So
She's Steve Trevoring,
so
like
Shane,
navigating the wind.
Shane,
Let's
I'm
put
gonna
it that
tell
way.
I'm gonna
Alright.
tell you it's the Captain Marvel effect. Just act like it happened and whatever. She flew and my exact I said out loud to my
See, that
family. I
bothered
said
me.
she does this in the comics. This does not bother me.
No.
It
It
bothered me how
me
it happened.
because I
It's lazy
know.
again.
I
Give
know-
me a real explanation. Don't just say you can navigate the wind, and then all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, wobble! I'm
No,
good
it
now."
bothered me because I know she can fly. I know that Wonder Woman eventually
Oh,
flies. In Justice League, she does not fly.
Shane's
which
pants
is
are entirely off.
which
He's
is
just wearing
what is
socks.
this? The 80s. It's 40 years after.
I
this?
agree. That's also the problem with they should not have
That's what
things that
bothered
she
me.
can do that are not.
So she.
Oh, Marvel has something.
No, only because is it and Batman versus Superman? She kind of flies.
Does she fly? I haven't
Doesn't
seen
she
it,
grab
so-
the sword and like fly at Doomsday? Or am I
But
thinking
she
of
does-
something else?
Oh, she
it's-
might.
It's something.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Wonder Woman flies. So
I
when,
know, but it's
when
just
it's
a
on
matter
the
of-
table, it
But I
doesn't
know
bother me.
I know what he's saying. It's never like canon again.
No, like I'm not saying like I have a problem with her flying. I know she's supposed to.
No. I know you're saying. It's just,
But
it,
I don't
doesn't,
remember her flying in any other
in
movie.
just yeah, exactly. She
I
doesn't.
have a
and then-
problem.
Maybe she didn't have. Maybe she didn't
But
have
like
to.
to learn how to fly and then not do it for 40 years just doesn't seem.
But it's also like the same shit. Like, okay, Captain Marvel came out after the Avengers, but shouldn't she have been there for the Avengers? Like, it's like that kind of thought process where it's
It's
like
chirped there on her Nokia.
they did. They on her Nokia. They just. It's like this. See that like with
It
movies.
should have been a beeper. I wish she had a Nokia.
I wish she had a
like an
Nokia,
old
too.
school like 05 or Nokia.
That's the thing with movies that I don't nitpick as much
She gets a Hotmail email.
Yeah.
because plot wise it didn't really make sense for the first
See
Wonder
Marvel
Woman
tit.
because in the first like in Justice League she didn't need it. In this movie they use it as a way for her to get rid of her stress and whatever. And I'm fine with that. It's like it's just like the problem is that if this movie was dated in present day, no problem. But they predated itself, and that's
No,
the
but
problem.
I don't even. The Justice League stuff doesn't even bother me. Let her fly. I get it. I don't mind that she flies.
I'm all for it.
My thing is, literally, 2 scenes later, she puts on a completely golden suit that has wings.
And
Have
that was
her learn how to fly
and-
in a suit with wings, and then be like, "All right,
and
I
that-
can do this,"
and that
and then
was
she can fly.
wait. We also didn't talk about where her suit was in her fucking Batcave in her closet.
in her apartment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Batcave, I like it.
So
So we
I
knew the
had-
Batcave existed. That's from Batman vs Superman, isn't it?
No, she was watched something on the airplane. That's why she went there.
So
No, but I'm saying, like, isn't Batman vs Superman? Don't they show her watching people's stuff, or is that just
On the airplane.
Oh, okay,
Because it was a
okay, okay.
plug. It was a marketing plug that she was on some airplane. Because they
All right,
used
so let's fast forward. They go to this place
Wait,
where,
hold on, hold on.
where everything's
I-
broadcast.
I had a problem with that armor.
Well, that's what we're getting.
she-
Yeah, the place where everything's broadcast.
She talks about how good this armor is.
Shane, we're getting there.
I'm already on the thought. Let me finish the fucking
Shane, we're
thought.
going to get there. Though.
She
Just give
talks
us a
about
time.
this impenetrable armor, and then Cheetah just
Doesn't
tears
say-
it apart.
She doesn't say it's impenetrable.
It does well against dogs, but not cats.
She said no. She literally.
Cheetah tears it apart like it's
First off,
nothing.
she says this armor was built.
No,
Barbara?
I don't remember her name.
It's Linda Carter.
Asteria,
It's
something like that.
everybody gave up their armor to give it to her so she could sacrifice herself.
All right,
for the
and,
other
and,
people.
in what year?
I don't know, fucking.
And then
1,000
they
years
show
ago.
her, and it's a bunch of guys that look like me hitting her with like clubs. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not going to be the greatest armor in the world, but like at the time, it did its job.
So hard stop, real facts.
It was the one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was
That's a
funny.
good one.
It's
That's
it was funny. They missed an opportunity to show Cheetah's transformation because I feel as though Cheetah's just showing up already is very confusing to a lot of people.
The biggest fuck up in this film is Cheetah, I think.
Biggest
No,
miss.
no, second biggest fuck up in this film. Biggest fuck up. They go to this island. First off, nobody knows. Nobody on this entire crew. Gal Gadot. We'll talk about it after we're married. But like the electricity. Does nobody fucking understand how electricity works?
Yeah, she should have.
She's in a
died.
full fucking golden suit in water with electricity, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put you underwater." No, that's gonna kill you. I don't care where the fuck you're from.
I agree, because when she did that, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Nope,
The only thing I will say is,
And they both survive.
It's from. That is weird that she survived, but it's from Themyscira, so you could say it's some weird element that isn't affected by anything.
They're swinging from this fucking live electric wire.
This fight scene was very problematic. It was very problematic because I had the same thoughts. I was like, okay, one of these is going to die. They should electrocute. And the fact that they let her survive and not show you her turn back into a normal human being or anything, like this movie is just, there's some cool stuff that could be executed super well if they took one more step, and they don't take that one more step for a lot. And this is why this movie, to me, stinks and is disappointing. That is why, because there's so much they could do. I fucking love Wonder Woman. I have a Wonder Woman hat like that. For a lot of people, for me to buy a hat,
It's a good movie. I got the hat.
look, for me to spend $30 on a symbol that I like means that I like it.
Seemed like a stretch. I got the hat. For Wonder
Watch
Woman.
the movie. I got the hat.
Look, as soon as I said it, I knew I was going to get roasted. But it stresses
That's
the
all we care
importance
about.
for me.
That's all we care
It's all-
about.
it stresses the importance
Any
for me.
opportunity
I
for
like
it to,
this.
any opportunity for it to not be me getting roasted, I'm gonna jump
All
off.
right, so here,
Yeah, whatever.
here's
Shut
the
up,
thing.
West Philadelphia.
So
I don't have a freshman to
it
hat.
does. Because apparently you didn't like it that much. So this is where the movie becomes the message, right? When they're on this island, and the message is incredible, right? If you think, and it's especially like right now, this idea that like, yes, things suck. Do you wish things were different? 100%. Everyone wishes things were different right now, but they're not. So what do? You just fucking deal with the fact of the matter. You deal with the truth, and you live by that truth, and you do the best you can on every given day. And for somebody who, I don't know that we've talked about this on here, and RP is, I know, is kind of in the same boat, who's dealt with mental health stuff, like that was like a big thing for me to be like, all right, you deal with the fucking hand you're given, and that's the message that Diana gives. The problem is that Diana gives that message directly to the fucking camera. And it is cringeworthy. It is cringeworthy. She is not speaking to Maxwell Lord in that scene. She is speaking to the audience, and it fucks up the entire flow of everything.
It's also very confusing because during that scene, it's very loud, and you're like, and you're sitting there and be like, who's she talking to? And then they eventually reveal because what she's saying is overpowered by my brain going, who is she talking to? So I completely blanked out during a majority of that scene.
The way that it was portrayed, the way that it was delivered is cringeworthy. The message that was delivered, it's like being a nerd. It'd be like Shakespeare at a bus stop. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't fucking matter at that point.
And then you're
Nobody's
like
listening to what you have to say because of how it's being done.
Yeah, right. And when you it's revealed that, okay, these screens, she's talking to the world, but these screens are just yellow. Why are they yellow? Her lasso didn't cover the screen. Like, that's what I'm saying.
What is the whole ray of light?
I don't know.
Over Max. That's why
I thought he was going to get obliterated or something.
First he's being filmed on a camera, and then she knocks the camera over, and he steps into this fucking like Chris Pine Star Trek beam, and now he's fucking crushing
Puss,
talking to everybody. You're right. Yeah, he's absolutely just fucking demolishing Puss, talking to everybody he wants to talk to. And I'm like, I thought I missed something to the point where I almost like rewinded, but I wasn't worth it at that point. It's like, is there something specific about this ray of light? And then at the same time, I was like, all
right, Shane left the room. So this is the real podcast. Is one
Previously recorded.
Me is 1, Bob is 2, and Marvel is 3.
I think I'm actually 2.5.
Yeah.
Marvel's creeping
Marvel's
up very quickly.
We do a lot of work together. What's that?
An hour 40 in is the real podcast.
We're an hour 40 in.
Yeah. So
This is
Marvel,
gonna be the short one.
Marvel.
We're in a 2-hour podcast. Like,
Me and Marvel have done more mini episodes than me and Bob.
I don't do mini episodes.
We did one. That's it. And it wasn't a mini episode; it was a full episode.
Yeah, when I talk, it's an hour. Sorry,
Yeah.
bud.
Yeah, Shane. So,
All right, so the full podcast is back together.
yeah, full podcast. All right, so while we're kind of at the end, let's kind of wrap it up because there's not after this point, there's not really much
There's
to
two,
talk about.
Two little things, but nothing crazy.
Except for the Maxwell Lord's son coming out of a random bush and meeting him.
I had one.
Or he due to land with his helicopter where his kid was that came out of a bush. It doesn't make any sense.
He landed back where he took off. He's the Maxwell Lord, his kid, and this is the way I interpreted, is right outside of the White House, which is right outside of his location.
See, I didn't get that. You read more of this movie. And that's why I'm
the office that he was in. Right outside of there, so he landed right there.
And that's where I'm going to let you talk.
Hold on, I had one note because I said
doesn't count.
When Kristen Wiig turns into Cheetah, my note was literally, "Is this Cats?" Because that's CGI.
It kind of looked like Cat
sucked.
CGI.
Jellicle cat.
No, I liked the idea of what they were trying to say. It's just in that regard, like think about DC movies, right? And so like even Marvel movies very rarely have like a deeper theme.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to think, like,
this movie had a message. It's just the message was literally Gal Gadot talking to me.
The solution to this movie is every single person in the world is selfless, that they're going to renounce their wish. There's not one dickhead that's like, I want my wish.
But one person, two people keeping the wish doesn't end the world. The idea that like, all right, the president, which is that supposed to be Reagan? Like, I don't really know what's going on with that. It is supposed to be Reagan. Like, he renounces his wish, which like the important people, the people who matter are renouncing their wishes. And then by them renouncing their wishes, all that little shit, that if that guy fucking who wanted that lady in the fucking soup kitchen or wherever the fuck that was to not, he didn't renounce his wish and she dies, that's not a fucking world changing event. But Ronald Reagan saying, all right, yeah, you're right, I fucked up, I renounced my wish, and now there's not nuclear weapons everywhere, that's a bigger difference. And so that's the thing. It's just that idea that like the bigger people is where it's important. Like, yeah, you're gonna get dealt a shit hand. Everybody's gonna get dealt a shit hand, and I think that's kind of what the message is. Diana gets dealt a shit hand in Wonder Woman 1. The person that she loves dies, and she has him back, and she renounces it. And she says, "All right, yes, this is what I want to have in life, but that's not an option for me anymore. It's not gonna happen. So I renounce that because it's not what's meant to be. And so I need to figure out how to live this world and be in this world without that being a thing." And so that, I think, is the message. And the idea, and that's why I like Maxwell Lord. This dude's, at no point in the film, ever, is he a villain, in my eyes. He's just a guy who's taking advantage of the situation that he's in.
He's kind of like if you got a little bit of power, you would abuse the shit.
But he's not like, I want to rule the world. He's just, I want to be.
wait, change it.
You're a senator.
You're a senator.
You're a senator.
If I get the amount of power that he has, absolutely, I'm going to abuse that power.
It's going to be the whole Joe Dirt thing. You show me those boobies.
Show me them boobies.
Yeah, but so all right. So I agree with you, but the idea that he, with all that power, says, "All right, where's my son?" Right? Like this is fun. And then when he talks to his son, he's like, "Listen," he swaps from being, "I'm going to make you proud of me," to be like, "You don't ever have to worry about me being there for you." And it's what I said earlier. Like, it's more, it's not about like him. He wants to be a good, like, he wants his son to be proud of him, but in reality, he just needs to be a good father. And so like that, the message in this movie is a really good message, a really strong message that just falls flat because of the flaws in the film.
Yeah. This might be the first time that Bob has liked, is it fair to say liked the movie?
I think I've found more problems with the movie than any of you. It's just
I think Bob just understood the movie the most.
I think that's the best way to put it. I think I understood what was happening more than anybody else. And part of that, in his defense, and I'm a big fan of him as a human being, and Gal Gadot as well, is the fact that prior to watching the film, both of their Twitter accounts, I'm just seeing like what they're retweeting and things like that, and it's like the message was like always being. So I was watching the film looking for that message.
So
No,
you're
that's
saying good message, poor execution.
DC at its finest.
Okay.
The movie needed like one more rewrite, I think. Like
Exactly.
I think
Good message. What did I say? 3 to 5 lazy aspects.
I would agree. I would agree that it's 3 or 5 good scenes away from being a good movie, and it's upsetting because this team put together a fantastic first film, and you want to see an even better second film.
Wait, was this the same director as the first movie?
Yeah, she actually wrote it with Jeff
but
Johns.
she wrote it. That's the problem.
Jeff Johns has done the best Green Lantern, but he does not do the best.
I don't know that I
DC
like.
stuff.
I don't know that I like Jeff Johns doing Wonder Woman.
Yeah, his Batman's terrible. But anyway,
I think I would. Yeah. Who Who just wrote?
Duke.
Who did year 1?
for Wonder
Earth
Woman?
1 for Wonder Woman.
Year 1 Wonder Woman was because I own it. I read it. It's downstairs. It's
He's a really good Wonder Woman writer. I can't
He
fucking
did-
think of his name. I would have rather him have written this. And that's where I think Jeff Johns kind of fucks DC. Jeff Johns thinks he understands every DC character in and out, and he doesn't necessarily do that. He's a very good he's a very good comic book writer. But
it's Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison did Wonder Woman Year 1 because Wonder Woman Earth Year 1 was very good.
year 1,
So Jeff Johns does a lot of really good.
Greg
Green Lantern.
Rucka.
Oh, he had a good.
My understanding is Greg Rucka is one of the better present day Wonder
Yes,
Woman writers.
he
I've
is.
read some Wonder Woman. I'm not like a huge Wonder Woman reader.
So
But like, all right, so like Jeff Johns has never written Wonder Woman.
no, he should not be part of
Say, go, and you know all these fucking writers. You worked at DC this long. Say, hey, somebody help to write this film.
Yeah.
You have a
But
good
he
understanding of this
did-
character.
So Greg Rucka
Did he do
wrote
Justice League. Jeff
Jeff
Johns.
Johns.
Didn't he do the
I
new,
don't think so.
the new 52?
So Greg Rucka did the new 52 for Wonder Woman.
No. I'm saying I
New-
think didn't
new-
Jeff Johns do the new 52 Justice League?
I think so. I think
Yes,
that's
he
what
did.
I'm
I
Yes,
read
he
the new
did.
52 Justice
He
League.
did.
And it's very good.
He did.
Yeah, but that's not a character
That's yeah.
focus. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
also a good friend of ours pointed out that Jeff Johns wrote Justice League or Batman, and like within the first 5 issues, Bruce Wayne revealed that he was Batman to like 4 or 5 people, which he does not do. So he does not understand all the DC characters, but he has a good.
I like Jeff
understanding.
Johns running this DC universe, but also you have to understand when you need to delegate and when you don't.
Don't tell me. Tell the fans.
Well, they won't fucking tweet me.
So I just want to wrap this up kind of quickly
Oh,
because
wait,
we do
before-
have some more we want to talk about.
We do. There's 2 things though. Did they reshoot for the Christmas scene?
I think so because that's my highlight. That's what I want to end on.
Okay. Well, the Linda Carter thing is bigger.
I don't give a fuck about that.
I did. I thought that was awesome.
I thought it was cool.
I thought it
But
was
she
corny,
showed up before.
I thought it was good.
But she's like,
Yeah.
I've been doing this a while.
But
like,
She's Hysteria.
shut up,
She's
Linda Carter.
she's the first Wonder Woman, and that's what Hysteria is technically the first Wonder Woman.
I like.
And I thought it was cool.
awesome.
I thought it was awesome, but it's like I don't want to say awesome, but I thought it was cool, but it's not something that I really have anything.
Have you
to
ever
add
watched
for.
like the Wonder Woman show?
No, and that's what this movie
It's
reminds me a lot. of.
Almost as corny as this movie.
So
From the 80s.
anyway,
It's
I want to
perfect.
jump.
No, it's-
I want to
it's-
jump
it's a
to
good
the
show.
end.
Yeah.
I want to jump to the end of the movie. I said it was a boring ending and a lame Christmas ending because the movie came out on Christmas Day. That I felt that they filmed intentionally with IMAX cameras. Note IMAX cameras for this Christmas scene that could take place. Looks like it takes place in modern day with the Hallmark man showing up. I thought it was very lame, and I did not like it at all. What did you guys think?
At that point, I was pretty checked out, and
I
I was
liked it
just
the-
so bored.
I liked that the guy was wearing the outfit.
Yeah.
Well,
Marvel-
But
so-
no, the second it was snowing, I was like, all I thought about that entire scene was, did they reshoot this?
I assume they did. I can't know for sure, but I assume they did. Marvel, what do you have to say about it?
I have a giant problem with that scene and the entire plot of him being Steve Trevor.
Okay, let's talk about it now because here's your platform. Let's talk about it.
You
So
should
this
still
movie
box,
needs to
buddy.
be canceled because she raped this guy. He had no
That's
control.
not true. That's not. She raped
mean-
she raped his person, but his mind was. She had consent.
I don't. She raped this guy. We don't know if this guy was married. He could have been in a relationship. He could be gay. At the end of the movie, he doesn't even hit on Diana, which implies that he would
He doesn't
not
give
have
her
had-
his number, which is weird.
Yeah, he would not have had
He
sex
actually has to be like, hey.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, see you later.
If she talked to me for 13 seconds, I'd be like, would you like to have my children? She could be like, hey,
Please marry me.
she's like, hey, you dropped your wallet. And I'm like,
So-
oh, in that case, while I'm on my one knee,
So Marvel, you make a really good point. There's something that we didn't think about. I didn't think about
cancel it.
until we talked about that. This Steve Trevor presumes the identity of this man based on this
Handsome
wish.
man. He has a
handsome
name.
man.
Handsome man. Handsome man. The idea of handsome man. He presumes it. And at that point on, Steve Trevor is in control of that body. Or Wonder Woman's mentally is somehow controlling that. I don't really know how it works.
Yes.
And you're right that she takes advantage of a situation that maybe she shouldn't have. And
And
that man
they put this
acted against
man-
his will.
yeah, they put him in mortal peril. Like he's
We
jumping
don't know
around.
that they had sex, for the record.
They did.
We don't know.
They did. You would. I would. We all would. Come on.
We
Let's
don't
just be
know.
honest here.
We don't
We
know.
all
Wait,
would.
you're saying you would have sex with Chris Pine?
I would take my pants off and take him to.
Legitimately close my eyes, say Gal Gadot's on one side of the room, Chris Pine's on the other. I'm not unhappy with the solution.
But yeah, they uproot this guy's life. Like they bring him to our country. He's jumping off truck, getting shot at. Like this, you don't know.
I just don't. I also hate the cliche. I really do. A bunch of movies do this, where you see another person in that body, and
in the
it be-
mirror.
and
That's it.
and it becomes that person. Like I'd rather. Personally, it probably would have been better
It all goes back
if it
to
wasn't-
the Steve
if-
Trevor thing being lazy.
if it wasn't Chris
Yes.
Pine. Seeing this guy act like Chris Pine would have probably been more enjoyable for me. Even though I do love
Just
Chris
have
Pine.
her say, "I wish." What was the wish? I don't remember what.
Oh,
You don't. She never
make
says
it-
it out loud.
So all right, so I wish that Steve was back. Have Steve show up, and it's just
Yeah.
Steve. It
Because
doesn't
there's
have to
no
be
point-
somebody.
Him in another body doesn't raise a problem for them. It's not like she's having this existential crisis where she's like, well, you can't be in this body. Like they kind of gloss over it. They're like, all right, you're in another body. Like
He
it's
looks at
not-
himself in the mirror and he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty handsome."
Yeah, it's not a driving.
He is
plot
handsome
where
guy,
she's
but-
like, well, you have to die because you can't be in this guy's body. Instead, it's you have to die because
you can't be
I need
here.
my superpowers.
But no, but
Oh, yeah,
that
we didn't even talk
but
about
that
that.
part of it I get, right? Because she has to give up what she has. You have to die because you shouldn't be here. Is what it is, though.
But he could have been that without being in this other guy's body.
That's what I'm saying. So you
Yeah.
just bring Steve Trevor back
Yeah.
entirely.
There's no point.
I wish that Steve
Yeah,
Trevor came back. All right, Steve
be-
Trevor shows up. Boom.
Because-
Gala, she turns the corner. Steve Trevor's there.
Because
He goes,
if-
hey, baby,
if
I'm
this-
back.
If this stone
Back, baby.
if this stone can make anything happen, this shouldn't be
Yeah. It makes nukes.
be a
It makes nukes appear and disappear. But it
And when
can't
she has to
make
say,
that
I have to give you up, then he just what? Like he fucking says whatever he says, which he's not even on camera for, which is weird to
Yeah.
me. I'll always be there. And he just like disintegrates.
So,
Yeah.
we had opinions about this movie, and so did other people. And it's time for an IMD 5-star. Just kidding. That's not my bit. I completely stole that.
Stop ripping off how this
How's it get made?
Yeah.
All right.
do
So
that.
we've all had our problems
listen
with
to
this movie,
podcasts,
and I
guys.
feel
They do second opinions. And
I
it's like
feel
5-star
like-
reviews.
I feel like if I don't cut this off now, it's going to go on forever. So I'm going to cut it off because I feel like we've talked about the main points of this movie. And Marvel, what's your closing thoughts on Wonder Woman 1984?
I give it a 10 because it's free. That's it. I don't care.
That's the greatest rating I think I've ever heard.
It was free. I watched it. It was 2 hours. And
Wait, did you know it goes? All right, so for the record, Wonder Woman 1984 is free on HBO Max until January 24th.
yeah,
But it's
and
free
then-
for you for 14 days if you find out how to win HBO Max trial because
Still
nobody
doing
nobody
this?
has. I put out a fucking Doolittle thing the other day.
I saw that. Nobody responded.
We
I
had a
did.
My dad's not on
yeah,
Twitter.
no,
Let me
you
know.
did. Your dad's gonna be at the
He thinks it's
Your
fun.
dad's gonna be having a full 14 days.
Is
to watch
Doolittle on
Wonder Woman.
HBO Max?
It is on HBO Max.
My dad. All right, it's a fun story about my dad. So the other day we rearranged a room in my house. so that my dad
I
can.
fucking love your dad.
So do I. So my dad's struggling from COVID stuff. Welcome to 2021, I guess. And so we rearranged the one room in my house so there's a treadmill right in front of a TV, so that he can walk on the treadmill, kind of get his lung capacity back. And I go and I said, "You all right?" And he's huffing and puffing. He's like walking, and I'm like, "Oh, this is fucking terrible." He goes, "Yeah, I was trying to watch Wonder Woman, but your Disney Plus isn't set up." And I said, "You're so fucking off base." And I go, "It's on HBO Max." He goes, "Well, is that set up?" I said, "That's literally the only thing set up on this Fire Stick is HBO Max." So at some point soon, my dad will watch Wonder Woman. My dad loves superhero movies. He doesn't get any of it.
We should.
I love the fact that your dad is so into Hallmark, but he just doesn't get superhero movies.
He likes them because
he'll love this. Love
very
Wonder
much-
Woman.
Bob is very much like me. I make sure that the reason I waited for Wonder Woman is because I watch everyone with my dad. Bob used to buy.
Yeah, my dad doesn't go to movie theaters.
Yeah,
so
Bob used to buy the movies on DVD.
Yeah, I would buy.
So his dad could
my
watch
dad
them.
wanted to watch them, so I started we started I think
Bob
Iron Man came on FX.
Bob had a Blu-ray player, and instead of he purposely bought DVD so his dad could watch it on his portable DVD.
My
player,
dad wanted to watch because my mom wouldn't watch him, so my dad would watch him in his chair, like you would like he was on a flight to fucking Dubai.
So this is we trash these movies and sometimes and we glorify them, but this is the main point of these movies.
That's what they're for.
Is that you connect with people.
Them.
We connect. The main point is not so Bob spends his money on them, but it's because we connect. Yeah. It's a way for all of us to connect. If it wasn't for superheroes, I would not know Marvel. Mm-hmm. I would not know Marvel if it wasn't for superheroes. You know,
it's all true. Yeah, I mean, it's
all true. The Jedi.
You go back to it goes back to Iron Man.
It goes back to Stan Lee, R.I.P.
It does go back to Stan Lee, but it goes back to because, frankly, Marvel, I love you, but Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, Dark Knight, all that stuff, I still wasn't buying comics. It goes back to Iron Man and the MCU is what brings RP into the comic book shop. It brings me into the comic book shop. That's where we meet, and then so on and so forth.
This is why we know each other, is because of these movies. So I'm going to close it out. All right, Marvel, you said yes because it's free. Shane, would you recommend this movie?
I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I didn't thoroughly enjoy it.
If you saw this opening night, which is the normal scenario for us,
I would have
been. That would have interpreted. Do you think that would have changed how you felt about it?
If I saw it opening night, I still would have been disappointed.
But do you think you would have hated it as much, or did you go into it thinking it was going to be bad, and that adjusted how you were going to look at it?
No, I didn't think it was going to be bad. I just didn't think it was anything special. I don't know.
Do you know what's sad? Do you know what's actually really sad though? So as far as DC movies go, this is still of DCU. This might be it might be number 2.
One of the better ones.
It might be Wonder Woman and then this.
Shazam.
You're right. Yeah, it's probably 3,
it's
maybe
absolutely
4.
top 5.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, easy top 5.
Which is sad.
That's the thing, Bob. You're kind of continuing. Would you recommend this movie?
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
It's
free.
If you have HBO, if you don't, tweet me.
Well, yeah, we'll hook you up. We'll hook you up. Let us know.
Yeah, tweet us.
Especially in Belgium.
But watch it with an open mind as well. People are shitting on it because people want it to be something. They want it to be Wonder Woman, and that's another thing with superhero movies. You want this to be a fucking certain type of thing, and there's going to be scenes specifically. This isn't the biggest moment in the movie, but that classical music thing fucked my day up. And Marvel said the same thing. I was like, why is this the music that's playing right now?
So, I would not recommend this movie. I thought it was very cheesy. I thought if you're going to get your fill of DC cheesiness, aside from being free, if you got, to be honest, we're in 2020, we're in 2021. Everything you need to watch, we're looking for new shit. Watch it. It's fucking Wonder Woman movie. It's better than I don't fucking know other shit that's been out. But in terms of my caliber, if I'm gonna watch it again, it's a Wonder Woman movie. If I want my cheesiness, I'm going to go to the CW for DC.
With that logic, though, I was actively playing my PlayStation, and I had to stop for a day to watch this movie, and I was not happy about it because I have like 4 hours to chill before I have to go to work.
Because he needs to sleep
Because
for
he's
12.
trying to get
I work-
stimmy.
I'm trying to get you the $2,000. You're welcome.
No.
I'm a senator.
Spoiler alert! He's Mitch McConnell's boy.
I have like a few hours to chill before I got to go to work, and I wanted to play my PlayStation, and instead I watched this movie,
All right.
and I was not happy about it.
All right. So
I
last
would
time
not
I
recommend
checked,
it.
I woke up early today, actually, to watch
Last
the
time
movie because I had other things to do. But I didn't look at it as wasted time, if that makes sense.
so last time I checked, it was my turn to talk.
Nobody gives a fuck about you. What's he saying?
If you
What's he doing?
had HBO Max and you watch this movie for free, that's good. But I would not recommend it
Why is he whispering?
because it's not really great. And
Is
it's
he
a
trying to cut
letdown
us out?
for
Like, what
all
is he
Wonder
doing?
Woman fans out there because it's definitely a
Making
step
you
down from
uncomfortable.
the first Wonder Woman. But it is a new Wonder Woman film. And it's just the epitome of DC films of how this is gone. So if you feel like wasting 2 hours and a half of your life, go ahead, watch it. But if you don't, this movie sucked. It stunk. And it was boring. It was real fucking boring. And
He did say it stinks.
that's all I have to say. I wish they would have executed things better because I've seen CW shows do this shit better on The Flash. But if you have HBO Max and you're bored, just watch it for free. All right, that's my take on it. So
So what do you think? Well, so Soul came out on Christmas as well.
So also Soul came out on Disney Plus as well.
I don't have anything to say. I enjoyed Soul a lot.
I will tell you what I have to say about Soul. It's not on this piece of paper. That's embarrassing.
You keep flipping that piece of paper and there's nothing.
Yeah, what's on the other
it
side?
was
Is that a
the other-
Home Depot like
He's
receipt?
No, it's an invoice from work.
He's got a piece of paper with nothing.
I genuinely thought you were super upset that you started whispering, and that was very funny. And I was like, all right, I don't think this is that bad.
No, it's bad. This is the last episode of the podcast.
He carried that for so long.
There's a
The
joke.
thing
so
is, I could
committed to
hear
the
it perfectly. So Marvel, I think Marvel, you could hear that pretty well.
I heard every word you said, actually.
So the
But
fans
also,
will be able to
like,
hear it.
you made me drink a 14% thing, and
I was-
expected me to be super nice the whole time.
I was so upset. I thought
It's only a matter of time until I got.
Disney Pixar Soul. I don't have the synopsis loaded.
All right,
But-
just
oh,
make it up,
wait,
make it up, make it up, make it up. We own Disney. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Before I get to that, one of these reviews for Wonder Woman. Ignore the 2-star reviews. People giving this movie 1 and 2-star reviews are being ridiculous. Sure, it's nothing like the first movie, but it's a beautifully done sequel nonetheless. Of course, it isn't perfect. I could do without the excessive CGI, and the writing wasn't particularly strong in some aspects of the
wait,
film.
Yeah, I like this guy's like all
Is this
automatically
a 5-star
backpacking.
review?
This is
No,
a
no,
5-star. It's a
It's a
10 star.
five.
It's a 10-star out of 10.
Oh wait, so people were giving it a 2 or 3 out of 10.
Yeah. So he said,
Wait, 10
having
out of 10. It's not perfect.
So 10 out of 10. So he said,
What?
having said that, the acting, the costumes, and the beautiful movie colors made the perfect Christmas movie. I really hope people go to see this in theaters. I'd give this film a solid 7 out of 10, but he gave it 10 out of 10.
Wait, so for you,
It's
all right,
very
so-
enjoyable and a fairly lighthearted. I look forward to the next one. Gal Gadot is a goddess.
Wait, so we weren't allowed to hear what you just said because it was whispered because I hurt your feelings. But what would you rank this in 10 and 10 stars? Or you're not a 1.5, 2-star guy.
6.5.
Okay, I was gonna say like
Yeah, I'd say like
1.5, 2
5 or
stars
6.
is fucking like
5.
you've never seen a
That's
bad
low,
movie at that
yeah.
point.
It's not that because it holds your interest for a
Like,
little
that's
bit.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
No, 2
1
or 3
stars
terrible.
is like, this is the worst
I'll
movie
tell
ever
you-
made.
That's
I'll
like
tell
watching
you-
somebody jerk off in like a
Ladies and gentlemen,
forest.
ladies
I
and
would give that
themselves.
10 stars.
ladies and
It's-
gentlemen,
but it's like it's he doesn't come.
He just rims.
ladies and gentlemen, I will
He
tell you what
edges
is
for a long time.
what is a 8 or 9 or even 10-star film. Disney Pixar Soul.
I give Soul.
There you go.
an
There's the
8.5.
segue. I enjoyed Soul very much.
It was very
Marvel
good.
did not. I
So-
gave Soul an 8.5.
I enjoyed Soul
What's
so
up, Mike?
much that I had a half hour left and I had to go to work.
And he listened to
So,
jazz music the
I
whole
kept
time.
watching Disney Plus on my phone as I drove to work.
Wow.
What'd you watch?
I
Your
wasn't
text-
watching. I was listening to it.
Your
What
text
were
is
you
at hard at
watching?
work.
I was just listening.
What though?
My phone.
He was
Like,
listening to jazz
soul?
music.
I connected.
Or like the credits? Like
no,
what?
no, no,
what
no.
the
I
fuck
connected
were you-
the phone to my car, and I was just listening to it. And I was like, I want to keep watching this. And like every 5 seconds, I would peek at it.
Was it Soul? Oh, so you didn't actually watch Soul. You kind of watched Soul. You were in and out of Soul. I thought when you were saying like, oh yeah, this like Soul was over, and I kept Disney
So-
Plus on.
No. I had to go to work.
Yeah, so
but
you
I
were-
had 30 minutes left of Soul.
Hey, Bob. So he does what he does.
Oh,
for
so that's good too. Yeah. So you were driving
I was
dangerously
invested.
on your way to being paid by taxpayers,
So Bob, he was.
but
doing-
also enjoying the film, which is what we're. So I last time I checked, previously recorded, we're not here for politics.
as what would you say? He probably.
You did it. You always did it.
Right.
So he probably half-assed watched the movie. You would say, right?
Last half hour,
Last day,
like a little deep. You should probably
Dude,
pay
I had to
attention.
go to work, and I was
Like
committed-
he does with
No,
the
no, 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 no.
podcast.
Fuck
He
you.
half-asses
No.
it.
Fuck you. I was fully invested in this movie.
I got
I
him.
had to go to
No,
work,
that's you.
and I wanted
He
to finish the
Batmaned you.
movie.
He Batman. No.
You-
I watched Soul after Wonder Woman.
All right.
I
So
back-to-back
Ooh.
movie.
That's a
watched
rough. That's a
for
rough.
this podcast.
The whole couch is shaking. He's so upset.
ladies and
That's a
gentlemen,
rough sequence as well.
ladies and
Well,
gentlemen,
and as much as I just,
Compared to Wonder Woman,
I just argued how good.
Soul was Oscar worthy.
I just argued how good Wonder Woman 84 was for how long, and I just said like, yeah. In hindsight, if you did Wonder Woman and then and then Soul, that was a mistake. You should have done Soul first.
so
Soul compared to Wonder Woman is Oscar worthy.
so Marvel, what did you think of Soul? We all liked it when you.
I did not like it. I think I need to give it another chance. I think that's it.
So he, go
It was,
ahead.
it was beautiful. It was like visually really well done. Everything I thought was good. I think it was just heady. Like I might have
It
not.
was
been,
heady
Marvel,
because
what-
I can't see any child
That's the
wanting
thing.
to watch this movie.
I
Marvel
don't know.
or-
I didn't go into the film thinking like, and usually you do with a Pixar movie, going like, all right, this is for kids. You know what I mean? This movie, I was like, I'm just gonna watch this movie. Like that's end of story. I'm just gonna watch the movie.
It kind of was geared towards adults.
When
It's
you
like,
think about it, exactly.
it's like this
all-
guy
all-
with a super sad
all
life that
pics-
turns his life around. It's like that's geared towards adults.
all
It's like a guy that gets a job as a senator.
It's like a guy that's an accountant and his job's super boring. And
I love my job. I love my job. I would not walk over a hole in the middle of the street and fall through.
But so like
I would not.
every Pixar movie has aspects that are like adult worthy, for lack of a better phrase. Soul, I think, is legitimately 100%
For adults.
an
yes.
adult movie.
It's the first one that doesn't feel like it's
No kid would understand this.
to children.
At
All
all.
right. So if you're still here for the podcast and you made it through our Wonder Woman talk, you probably can take from our Soul discussion that it's a really good film,
It is.
and we
I do
highly
recommend
recommend it.
and it's free.
And it's free.
That's not free.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
it. It's free if Bob is
You gotta
paying
pay
for
for
the
Disney
subscription.
Plus.
We got to pay for HBO Max too.
It's
Just-
free.
If you have HBO with your cable
Listen,
provider,
just-
it's different.
Which is
though.
Message
yeah,
me.
But HBO's more expensive.
I'll
than
give
Disney
you
Plus.
Bob's
much
login,
more
and
do
then
your
you
cable
can
provider,
watch
though?
Soul.
Yeah, HBO's $20 a month.
Regardless, like you can't get it for free or anything like that anymore.
No, it's not free.
I don't know. I don't pay my own cable. Thanks, Dad.
No. You're welcome.
I pay for my own HBO Max and all the other shit. So like,
Bob,
hey, HBO Max is more expensive than Disney Plus.
Bob pays for my Disney Plus. Thanks, Dad.
All right, so I think that pretty much wraps up Pixar Soul, and
What a great conversation.
what a great conversation. But this is something that could definitely be delved into in a mini episode, maybe.
Possibly a Disney better than last time March Madness bracket.
Yes, very much so. Definitely better audio quality too. That's all I kind of got to say here. Marvel, do you have anything to add before we go?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Absolutely not.
We all we have to say is we recommend Soul over Wonder Woman. Thank you for
Yes.
listening. If you made it this far, like I always say every episode, because there was a lot to say about Wonder Woman 1984, and I guarantee you half of you probably haven't even watched the film because it's not
Yes.
good.
I know. Bob's brother definitely hasn't watched it.
The
but
biggest
he's
thing
still
about-
listening to the episode. Thanks, Brian.
The biggest thing about Wonder Woman, it's boring. That's my thing.
Yeah,
That's my thing. It's boring.
it's boring and lazy.
It's lazy. So that's all we got to add here, boys. Right? Nothing else to add.
I finished the Four Loko sour apple. I have very bad heartburn.
Oh God, that's not good. Tums on the way. All right. Anything to plug before we go?
PlayStation, get a PlayStation 5. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Easy as pie.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I actually haven't started, but Cobra Kai season 3
Yeah.
on Netflix now.
I am currently watching Vikings going hand in hand with playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Really, really good show. If you like Game of Thrones, check it out. It's the same type of feel. Really good show. It's on Amazon Prime. It was on the History Channel, but now it's on Amazon
I think
Prime.
it's
It's
on Hulu.
over.
It was on Hulu originally, wasn't it? Is it on
No.
Prime
No, it was
now?
history.
It was the History Channel, and
I
then
think it was on
Amazon
Hulu.
Prime.
It might have been
picked
on
it
Hulu
up.
at some
It
point.
was on Hulu, but is it
Yeah,
Prime now?
Amazon Prime.
It's
If it's on Prime, I'll
really-
check it out.
It's really good.
Also, for the local
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, very good too.
local sports fans, Namdi Asamoah is in a film on Amazon Prime. Something Sylvie, being Sylvie,
Yeah,
catching Sylvie.
if you're a Raiders or an Eagles fan, that's where to check it out.
Yeah, he was a Broadway actor as well. So apparently he's pretty good. And it's him and what's her name? She was Valkyrie.
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson.
All right, and Marvel, anything to plug before we end the episode? You watching-
Supernatural.
Supernatural.
15 years. It's
We're
over.
plugging it.
All
Check
right,
it out.
so the
We're
spin-off
gonna plug it for 15 years.
Marvel and if we do this podcast for 15 years, I'll be amazed. Marvel and Shane Supernatural podcast coming at the end of the year.
I'm still on season 1 of 15, so don't.
Oh.
Yeah, I
don't
thought-
count
End of the
that.
year. End of the year. You got to bang out like 1.5 a month.
It's a long time.
Most, says
It only took
penis.
me 1 year to watch 4 seasons of Sopranos. So.
All right,
Technically,
guys.
I watched 3. I'm on season 4, episode 2.
All right, guys. We enjoyed this movie. I mean, well, some of us
I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed all
I
the
enjoyed the movie.
today.
and Marvel enjoyed the movie. And to me, it was in these times of 2020, it was an escape. But in terms of what a Wonder Woman sequel, I was very disappointed. But we had our opinions. You can have yours. And if you haven't seen the film yet, reach out to Previously Recorded on Twitter and just fucking tweet us Wonder Woman 1984, and I will give you the 14-day subscription to HBO Max.
DC
Come on,
fanboy,
Belgium.
come for Bob.
Yeah, come for Bob. And Belgium, come through.
Belgium, please, we're begging you. Please reach out.
All right,
We want
guys.
to talk to you.
We want to talk to Shane's getting really aggressive.
I want to meet Belgium.
All right, and look for our Star Wars podcast next, maybe in 2 to 3 weeks. All right, Happy New Year. Previously Recorded.
What I want, you got, and it might be hard to handle. But like